pick your poison, essentially. There's a lot of threats here for the Spitfire to use. This is astonishing from the Boston Uprising. They put this defense together so comfortably. Good dive in from Boston to find that first target.
That's a big resounding fight win for London.
Who's got the hard hand? That was a masterclass from the Spitfire. Huge turnaround. Boston make it a real game.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming at you live from the Blizzard Arena. It is day 10. That's right, we're into double digits here at the Overwatch League, and we have already kicked off this week with some amazing matches. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and I am joined at the desk all day long. We brought in the God Squad. We got Bren, Reinforce, and Zoe, our insider, once again. Let's talk about yesterday real quick. We closed it out with the epic finish between the Battle of LA, the Gladiators falling in that Game 5 at the hands of the Valiant.
I mean, I was very surprised by the Gladiators coming out fighting, grabbing a 2-0. They really surprised me on Horizon, where they played a defensive Sombra. So some exciting stuff coming out of the LA Gladiators.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think they played really well. However, I also felt like Valiant didn't really turn up on the first two maps, so I was glad to see them going back into their groove and being a bit more dominant for the rest portion of that match.
Gotta be one of my favorite games this entire season, for sure. Like, it was absolutely crazy between the two Los Angeles teams. That battle for LA, I mean, the storyline that's developing between these two teams is the second time they've played, and it's just been crazy both times.
This is just stage one. We've already seen so many great games, and here's a current look at the standings. If you're just joining us here in week 3, so far we have 3 undefeated teams. That's the Seoul Dynasty, the London Spitfire, and the New York XL. After that, though, there is a massive chunk of squads all fighting for the top 6.
Yeah, and it's highly contested too, because each of those teams have shown us great performances and also not so great performances. So I think this is going to be highly contested up until the very end of this season.
Keep in mind, at the end of Stage 1, top 3 are moving into our Stage 1 playoffs. For now, though, let's introduce the matches we're going to see today. It opens up with a big opportunity for the Boston Uprising. Can they unseat the London Spitfire in our first matchup? A little bit later, it's the Fusion going up against the New York XL. And we close things out with some fan favorites. Who's here for the Outlaws today? They're going up against the Florida Mayhem at 6 p.m. But it's time now to start the day with our first matchup. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, the Boston Uprising. Dream Casper leading this squad, who is currently sitting at the standings at 1-3, but it could have been a 2-2 match count if they would have won that Game 5 against San Francisco.
Yeah, incredibly close match here, Puckett, between in the previous match that Boston played. Dreamcast, the guy that's leading, you rightfully mentioned, he's been one of the star players who's been performing so well for his team all around. And that's the beauty of the Boston Uprising lineup, is the fact that they are so disciplined with their dive composition and they play it so well. However, we didn't see that in their game the other day on Game 5. It sort of fell flat a little bit when they tried to expand there and be a bit more flexible with their team compositions.
Yeah, if you watch that game number 5, you did see that Kalios struggled on that Zarya. However, we saw great performances out of him on that D.Va when they played on Horizon Lunar Colony, where he actually went 41-1 KD ratio, and that's pretty outstanding. However, today we're going to see Note in his stead taking to the stage, who I believe is a bit of a stronger Zarya than what we see from Kalios.
Yes, and I'd like to highlight the supports in this Boston Uprising squad. We have Kellex and we have Neko, 2 players that I think we all know are pretty good, but overall their ultimate usage versus the San Francisco Shock was a bit subpar, and so today I want those 2 players to step up and get some value out of their ultimate.
We'll keep our eyes on that Valkyrie all day long. That is the Boston Uprising, but now it's time to introduce the unbeaten squad. Give it up for the 5-0 London Spitfire. London has been able to win every single match they've played, and Bernrick, the man leading the charge, has been a big factor for them so far. But in their matchup against San Francisco, they're a little bit shaky yesterday.
Yes, and today we're seeing Gesture in the starting lineup. Now, previously we have sent Fischer in the starting lineup. He's a bit more of a passive tank. They have 2 different styles, and so Gesture going to be the one to initiate the fights because he is the more aggressive of the 2. So we're looking out for some more aggressive dives today with Gesture initiating the action. It's
not just the tank show though, Johnny, here today. It's going to be also about these supports. But Dosin is the man I'm going to be looking out for. We mentioned him. He was our MVP player of the match sponsored by Omen, by HP, and he put out an outstanding performance on the flex support role. Constantly getting picks for his team, putting out great damage and being one of the better Zenyatta players in the league so far from what we've seen.
And Zoe, it looks like Hureg is back in the lineup. He came out with this McCree emote, but it was mostly him on Farah on our first day of action.
Yeah, and I gotta say his first showing on the stage was great. He had a great showing on Eichenwalde on his Farah. He wreaked havoc, causing Baby Bay to switch off of his own Farah like right away. And now I kind of doubt that they would only use him to play that Farah. That would make them rather readable. So I'm excited to see what else he has in store for us.
I mean, I would like to see him play some Doomfist. We saw early in his career for GC Busan. He liked playing that Doomfist when it was released, of course. So maybe a bit of a wild card. Maybe they'll surprise Gamsu and the squad with some Doomfist action.
Farah, Doomfist, what else can he bring to the table here, Brent?
Yeah, it's not just those two heroes by any shot at all. GC Busan, the roster that he played on before for Apex Season 4, he played a whole host of different heroes. Some games pulling out 7 different sort of compositions. He can play the McCree, the Tracer, the Widowmaker to very high levels, which means I'm going to be very excited to see what he can do in this lineup.
If you've been watching London, you know they have a fantastic main tank always in the lineup. Their DPS, some of the most star-studded players in the league. You got Rascal, Prophet, Birdring, Hureg in the mix as well. This is going to be difficult for Boston to deal with. So let's talk a little bit about the wider play style, starting with Boston here. Zoe, what do we know about the squad after seeing them in the first 2 weeks?
I mean, honestly, the only thing that really showed us so far in the first 2 weeks was dive. I did go up to Hawk and asked about that, like, hey, we discussed it on the desk. You look a little bit one-dimensional in terms of your compositions. He didn't agree with that at all. He did mention their triple tank composition, which we saw in week 1 as well as in week 2. And granted, in week 1, it worked out great for them. Dream Casper on his Roadhog had an 88% hook accuracy. However, in week 2, that didn't go so well for them. So far, dive has been their stable, really.
Yes, and today we're not even going to see Oasis as a map. We're going to see Ilios, of course. So I'm sorry, Hawk. I doubt we'll see any tanks today. It probably most likely will be dive. And it's pretty interesting to see how London Spitfire will adapt to the more passive dive playstyle, I'd say, with Gamsu. So we'll see if London Spitfire manage to surpass Gamsu and maybe, play into their strategy a bit.
If anything, the fact that it's going to be on Ilios is going to be working more towards Boston compared to if it was Oasis, because I haven't been impressed with their tank play. Their divers looked like the strongest aspect of this Boston team so far, so I feel like it could work in their favor.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that Game 3, because so far we know that London has won 5 straight matches. But they've dropped 3 of their last 4 control maps. When it comes to Game 3, which is always control now, Brent, what concerns do you have for London?
Yeah, so in general, London have always looked like the stronger team coming into these matchups, but they have fallen flat on control across the board against Valiant, Shock, and Dallas in their previous games. However, I don't actually believe that that's an issue that's not going to be hard to resolve. The matchups that they were playing, the teams they were playing against, they really struggled because those teams, they prefer sort of a more scrappy style that control sort of pushes forward as a game mode. London like the maps, the game modes, like Escort, Assault, where you can plan strategies, set plays, much more than the control with that scrappy sort of fighting attitude.
Yeah, and I think that's something Fury also mentioned in his post-game interview yesterday when I did ask him about their struggles on control map. He did say, yeah, so far we haven't really shown the best performance on this very mode. However, he did say that they're also experimenting a lot. They're trying out different compositions to kind of make it work for them. So we haven't seen their final form on control yet.
Boston's got a big day. They're trying to climb up the leaderboard. A win over the unbeaten Spitfire would be a great start to their week 3. Let's send it over to our casters to get this one kicked off. It's Semler with Hex.
Thank you so much, Puckett. Yes, we are here. It is our first match of the week, and already Puckett is back, guys, and that's just made my week right there. We're not even into the games yet, Hex.
You're just happy you don't have to be on the desk again.
Nothing to do with that. But it's true, you can't really see the beard sparkle without the desk. I don't know what's up with that.
I can see it. It's glorious.
Yeah? Okay, good, man. You're making me feel all right. All right. So, guys, this is it. I mean, we're going to get into it, man. London Spitfire, they have clearly not run out of fuel yet. They're in, like, 5-0 right now at the top of the packs. I mean, what do you make of this match, Hex?
I mean, London and Boston, shades of the Revolutionary War, right? And if Boston's going to have a chance in this, akin to that last conflict, they're going to have to switch up their fighting style as well. You don't want to stand across from the other side and just take their best shot. I'd like to see a switch up of some tactics here. I think if you play the exact same style as London, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. And Boston's shown some cool strategies, especially when we got to control. I think that should be the map type they plan to steal if they're going to look at winning this series.
Yes, thriving in the chaos. That's exactly it. When you're in an uprising, right, things are happening left and right, cars are burning, and it just gets a bit messy. And that's where the Boston Uprising will perhaps have a chance to shine.
This is a map also that you can run a lot of interesting tactics. I used to refer to it as the lab because Numbani was always an outlier where everyone's running a standard composition, then all of a sudden, surprise Torbjorn, and here comes an Ana, and there's all sorts of interesting tactics you can run on this point, and we've seen teams maybe beat some higher competition. I mean, you look at what Shanghai did against Seoul on this map. It was extremely close, and you'd think those teams are a little far apart, but it's a map that lends itself to interesting strategies and tactics.
Yeah, exactly. You can really get that lockdown going on the first point as well. The defense so key, and if you are feeling it, you can really just stop your opponents cold and get that strong start. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on the Boston Uprising. They're starting on the offense as the away team, and so we'll have to wait until the second half. But London's Spitfire on the defense, and there you go, Hex. There you go. It's our bearded brethren.
Torb is a support, kind of. He gets scrap over time. He's able to pick up scrap from the fallen enemies. Maybe repurposes their weapons of sort, and that scrap will give his team 50 armor. Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, a little weak
Getting
there.
the hopes up. He's just toying with us.
Bedosen's been such a good support on this team. He's been an all-star standout on London Spitfire, and we're going to see a little more Ana. This is one of the only maps you see Ana on. One of the reasons being you want that distance healing, you want to hold back on high ground, and also if you dive on Ana, you better be good at dodging sleep darts.
Yeah, not only that, you can get that nano boost going on the Winston, getting up into those choke points. Either he's got the Primal Rage and he's patting people left and right, or he's just zapping them with the cleave. So, I mean, lots of fun here. I'm really excited to see. I'm always excited to see Numbani because we get to see Ana, because we get to see some different strategies here. And so now it has begun. Boston on the offense. Nothing too crazy out of them. It looks like standard dive so far to start things off.
Yeah, kind of an older school dive as well. As Lucio in the mix here, one of the reasons you need that run back. The dive comes in over top right away as they jockey for position.
Wow, Dream Casper not wasting any time at all, just there to dive with his teammates to focus down those targets and already making progress on the point. Are they going to be able to pick up the first tick? It does get contested at the last possible second, but they are still here, and Boston off to a fantastic start so far. They're getting kills.
Really good zoning early on. They gave up their life to get that positioning, and now turning it into progress. They will give it up some kills. It does seem like London has gotten enough kills to push them back, but it's fine on Numbani. If you can piece together 3 pushes like that, you get the point. You don't have to get it all in one chunk, as the progress only reverts back to 33%. The point I was going to make about Lucio, which is going to switch off of now, is unless you get to that point quicker, I thought they might run it on second attack, actually, because to get the run back, to have more attack opportunities, Lucio's speed boost gets you in better position quicker.
I mean, you know, if I say taxi, people aren't going to know, so it's like Uber, right? You know, that's the Uber service now, right? Where it's like, Lucio, you pick them up and you go.
Why is my Uber yellow with checkers on top?
Fury, man, another standout player here for London Spitfire. So much talent on this roster, but Fury has really outperformed the opposition on that Diva. He's staying alive, not taking the damage, and keeping the pressure on. That's a great target to find himself on, though. Putting the pressure on the Mercy. Definitely want to make sure that Kellex doesn't have too much room to maneuver.
Yeah, great body block attempt right there. The Mercy is able to get by, able to slim her way through. One of the ultimates does come out for the side of London. That is Resurrection, so everyone's going to be back to life. They end up taking down Kellex in this fight, which actually might be a bit of a silver lining for Boston, because they will have their own Valkyrie up for next fight while London just burned theirs. Valkyrie will allow you to bring back 2 heroes, generally a huge advantage in fights.
Absolutely, and you have note, self-destruct just ticks over. So you have 2 ultimates to work with here for Boston Uprising. The thing is that they're starting to stack them pretty hard over on London's side of things. You know, we do have that nano boost that is ready here from Bedosen, so we'll see where he decides to use it. And Jester's got the Primal Rage. Lots of tactics available here to the London Spitfire to buy more time on the defense here for this point.
They've also moved Dream Casper over to Afara. They're going to take an air battle, which I don't know is the right choice against a team called the Spitfire.
Yeah, sure enough, we're going to find out, because already the kills here. Kellex will be alive, and he's already put that Valk to use, bringing his teammates back into the fight. Jester's still alive with the Primal Rage, though, and he might decide to use it. He is still hanging in here, but there it is. Finally decides to break the glasses and give it a go.
Casper was able to take down his opposition in that fight, but this is so back and forth. Trades will eventually favor the defense here because of that long walk back. If they can simply stall out on the point, the reinforcements will be there faster, but they are bullying out Jester. Note does a great job of keeping his toe on the point there to secure second tick.
Yeah, not overextending. Same thing could be said there for Gamsu. He could have got ahead of himself, tried to really hunt that frag down on Gesture, but instead decides to play it safe, make sure that he stays alive with his teammates. Somehow, the London Spitfire have dive bombed back onto the site, though. They've succeeded in just stalling it out a little bit longer, but Dream Casper hitting rocket after rocket. There we go. 3 big frags for Dream Casper, and that will finally take it over in Boston's favor.
So Spitfires were dominant in the sky when there weren't rockets involved, but now that we've added modern technology, Casper able to win that fight in dominant fashion. Beautiful play there.
Yeah, super solid. He has been one of the standout players here for Boston Uprising. Him and Striker both on that DPS lineup. A lot of positive things to say about them. And you can see Striker, the man on a mission right now, lurking in the Maquis.
Just hoping that someone else tries this flank, and to outflank them here is what Striker's looking for. He's probably trying to pick up on audio cues right now, checking over the top there, but they're going to take all this free push around the bend, and so Striker is on lookout duty, but gets snuck up on anyway.
Surprise! Get out! Striker got to give him some ground here. That is the heart attack moment when all of a sudden you're just like, everything is good. I am the one laying the trap, and then it turns out you're playing against the Predator all along. He knew exactly where you were coming from.
Where he was hanging out there was actually pretty cool, because I don't think that the opposing Tracer was able to get the angle to one-clip him there. That pulse bomb will say happy birthday to the ground. No one stuck by it.
Another opportunity here for Dreamcasper, though, to shine, and he shuts down Hureg once again. Nuss is there with the Valkyrie, though, to bring Hureg back into the fight. But Dreamcasper reigns supreme, raining rocket after rocket into the defense. And right now, London Spitfire is getting a bit dicey for him.
They're going to transcend. Dueling Zoom. Yada's down on the point. They're trying to keep everyone alive. Casper's going to try to dip down and get a little bit of that healing. He will barrage. Takes down Hureg yet again, and Dreamcasper owns the sky.
Wow, sets it up for the kill on Gesture as well. Losing a bit of that stall timing. However, Dreamcasper still staying alive, trying to pressure that back line, trying to get some damage in, but he eventually gets hunted down by Fury in the skies. Fitting demise for him. Fury, though, he's in a bit of a tight spot, and he might get caught here by the Boston.
Note just had 3 eliminations by himself. Someone who's not seen a ton of play on this roster, as he's replacing Kalios for this map at the very least. He got both supports and the opposite number of his in the opposing Diva. Different style of play out of Note so far.
Very mindful, staying alive on that point. We saw it earlier, huh? Showing restraint, not overextending, really sticking with the unit, sticking with the team.
You know you're winning the Far v Far when the other Far switches off of it and goes McCree. No longer wanting to duel in the sky. Casper, they're going to switch off of the Far as well. Not the greatest point. Too wide open for Far, not enough concussion walls to get behind cover.
Neko looking for the snipe there, just doing a little bit of damage. He does manage to clip Gesture, and Gesture will eventually get hunted down by Striker. This is an opportunity here, not getting stalled out at the arch that is so important for Boston. They want to try and make as much progress as possible right now, and it's looking fantastic. Now, this is going to be their backs to the wall here, backs to the museum for London Spitfire.
Note yet again to start that fight off, got a self-destruct on the opposing Mercy, and he has no mercy right now. Note is going off in one of his early Overwatch League debuts.
Erdring getting clipped very early on there by Dreamcasper. Gesture not long for this world either. They're doing a fantastic job of staggering out the defense. Boston are on their way to get a fantastic time here if they can just keep it together. Hureg, the Rockets, not gonna survive. Yes, he just barely picks up the pack, and that's gonna force Note back. There was such a big chance there for Note.
This is a fight you want to finish. They've invested their Valkyrie, and if they do not finish it right now, Spitfire will get out with a Valkyrie of their own, as Nuss does pop it preemptively to get back onto this point. That is a Hureg resurrection, brings him back to life, and now they understand the difficult spot they're in, and the call for retreat is on.
Still with a minute on the clock, and Kellick's right, nowhere near. They're even going so far forward, nearly to the spawn here, London Spitfire, trying to stagger them further. Really trying to put the pressure on here for the Uprising.
Nuss felt so pressured to burn that Valkyrie just to get out of spawn, so now no advantage in the support ultimate for the side of London Spitfire. They will have Primal Rage. I'd imagine Gesture uses that as a last-ditch effort to stall them out.
And you even have further stall with the Deadeye as well from Hureg. He doesn't even necessarily need to get a kill. You can just kind of pop that and just wait for them to try and get around the corner once it's worn off. Valuable seconds burning off the clock. 30 seconds left here. And eyes on Note. There are a few opportunities here for a good self-destruct, and he decides to commit immediately.
All the way to the back lines. We'll see if he can find anything. No, a great retreat, and they all hide under the Winston bobble to get out of that. Meanwhile, though, Fury taken out of this fight. Nope, takes down Gesture, so both tanks out of this fight. A lot of space for Dreamcasper.
Pulls the trigger just a second too quick, but the focus fire is there! Striker there to back him up, and Gamsu as well. 2 big kills coming through. Birdring will take down Neko in the meantime, and Dreamcasper so far reigns supreme. The trance is out to buy a bit more time, and we're into overtime now. The wick is burning, and Boston Uprising, they need to stay alive, but Fury taking out the back line with the self-destruct.
Gesture finally pops that Primal Rage, and he will knock people about, just trying to buy a little bit of time for the rest of his team. But when the focus fire is there, 1,000 HP doesn't last long. Completion of the map for the Boston Uprising.
Everybody on fire at the end there for Boston. They really kept it together. That self-destructive may not have gotten the kills, but it gave them the opportunity to push forward back onto the point and really just look for the kills there on London.
No time left in their bank. It was because they were unable to finish that prior fight just to it. The Valkyries came out from both sides, but finishing the map on Numbani is not a given. Boston's win condition now, simply stop London any step of the way.
That would be a slap in the face here for London, because now they get to switch over to the defense here on Boston. Once again, we're going to re-emphasize this first point with a solid defense can be very tricky to cap quickly. So London, they're going to have to get zeroed in here.
London has been master of the dive, though, and Numbani is one of the maps that kind of forced dive to come to fruition because people were holding so far back. This was before D.Va and Winston were the ultra-popular, ultra-strong heroes they are now. It's because you needed the mobility to get to high ground. A slow rotation up Center Street just took way too long. You would get beat down, shields would be cracking, and eventually people realized the ultra-aggressive, ultra-mobile composition of dive was the best way to go about Numbani. And then they realized, hey, this is a really good composition on every map. We should just do this all the time.
So this was Genesis, this was the beginning, and they all saw the light afterwards. And this is where we are now.
Let there be dive, there was, and it was good.
I mean, when you have the coordination, like what is the key? And we saw multiple instances there of Boston. You can see that the communication is on point. When somebody manages to get a target low, instantly the tanks, the offense, striker, they collapse on that target, they eliminate it, and then they move on to the next one. That is what is so important about dive. You need to have your comms on point calling out those focus targets. So glad to see that Boston right now, they definitely showed up to play. London, tables are turned, and they're the ones on the offense. Now Hureg going to the Pharah. Not a big shock to see.
Yeah, it is kind of odd because most teams don't run the pure dive BTS anymore, but dive tanks are always going to be running this map. Keep your eye on Birdring. His job is to stay alive and make them check different angles so that they can't pay 100% attention to Hureg, and he gets a little action going here. He's got the deep dive on, even as Farah.
Fantastic healing, though, to keep him in the fight. Dream Casper had to back off, but Calyx and Neko, they've already got so much ult percentage. Just keeping him back into it. Gamsu gonna be backing off. Point blank rockets from Hureg, but Hureg drops too low. And Dreamcasper there to DMEC Fury as well. They're getting stalled out here, Spitfire, and when you get stalled out and you're a plane, you know, well, the result isn't pretty.
So close to securing the second checkpoint on that map. The second tick, as we refer to it, 65.8%. You need 66.6 repeating to get there, but like the first push of Boston, hey, I don't know much math, but I know that one. They did get the first tick, so very similar first offenses.
Very early on as well. And now just feeling it out. High ground occupied by London Spitfire, but you can see how far back. Neko is nearly at the spawn. That's how far back he's holding right now with that scope sniper healer rifle. He can just keep his teammates alive from the other side of the map, no problem at all. Birdring keeping it up on the high ground. He might have to give ground though. Needs to allow his healers to get that healing orb on him, bring him back up.
More pressure on the points as they try to pop off. That's pulse bomb, and it does stick on a Gamsu, forces out the early resurrection.
Fury here with the self-destruct option. Could try to use it to create a bit more space, and no, he's just gonna use it for the fresh mech and trying to catch him out, but Striker is there to beat him to death. And now Dosa moving in, he's got the Discord orbs sailing out, so much damage increase there. But it's not going to be enough, and Boston Uprising, they do manage to repel the attack for now, but another tick has been picked up here for London Spitfire, and they still have 2 minutes. If they're getting a tick a minute, Hex, how does that work out? Do the math there.
They'll get it. Next push, I think. Come on, man. Don't put me numbers on the spot. Dosen has had a really rough game so far against Gamsu, but it might be the strategy where, like, we think that our Zen probably will die anyway. They're leaving him all alone. Both these tanks are going forward, and as a Zen, if you're alone against the Winston, you're likely going to lose that fight, but they've sacrificed him, and because of that, he's built up enough damage to have Transcend for this fight. They're just going to use it.
Immediately looking for that early pick to swing the fight their way. Striker is there to take down Birdring, but Fury trades that kill immediately. Dreamcasper with attack visor, but the shield is up, negating the damage. And now it's just Dreamcasper really not able to get too much out of that ultimate apart from the zone.
Oh, they completely shut down that ultimate, and now they will all fall. Dosen looking for a couple of more kills, will find some help above in the friendly skies from Hureg, and will grab that first point with 3:30 on the clock for him.
Kind of keeping an eye here on Dosen. He has really stood out on Zenyatta, doing tremendous amounts of damage. And well, I mean, he is keeping up right now with the DPS, which is always impressive.
The most successful teams have had Zenyatta be a huge part of their damage outputs. And you think about Dosen, who does so much damage. Think about all of the teams with great Zenyatas, it's such a help to them. I mean, not only Discord, but to be able to do your own damage means that you're going to get Transcend faster. Look at Dosen, already up to 90% again.
Yeah, that's unreal. Fight after fight, this guy's going to be able to keep his teammates alive. Fury is their DMEC note as well. Further time bot, and the flash headshot combo coming in from Hureg. No joy this time for Striker, and they're getting forced to give ground here, Boston.
Still on the chase, though, they might end up actually getting the Winston on the way out. They do. And Gamsu has been such a problem for their back line that they're going to feel very, very safe here. It's going to be interesting to see if Boston even goes in on this. London has banked up nearly every ultimate. You'd like to push in just to have them use some of it.
This is exactly. Dreamcast checking it, Fury. Always options there, especially when you've got self-destructive. You can get that flank in from behind, just drop that ultimate onto the back line, and he might try and do it as well. That's really going to put the pressure on. Maybe he doesn't even need to, though. Just annihilating him point blank.
Boston went all in on that fight as well. Kellex did pop his Valkyrie trying to keep his team alive, but they got so cut in half by this man named Fury. Went up top. I don't know if Dreamcasper thought that he couldn't hear the jingle jangle of his spurs, but he was just waiting for him, knocked him off the edge, took 2 people down. And like I said, they committed Valkyrie into that attempted defense there. London, so patient on their ultimate bank, will have theirs for the next fight.
The micro missiles, man, they make all the difference for you. That's unbelievable damage. You actually have burst now as a tank. Birdring gonna back his way out of there, but I mean, the point is continue to make progress. Neko, though, it's gotta be a volley. Drops Birdring, and that might slow things down. Although, as I say that, Nuss is there to pop the wings, and he's gonna bring his teammate back to life.
They're going to bring Valkyrie up, so now it's time to get very aggressive. Chain healing on the ground. They're going to force out the Transcend on the other side. One of the only ultimates Bolton had banked up. Actually, never mind. They've gotten themselves in a decent position economy-wise, but it matters not as Kellex and Neko fall to the man with the Orbs of Destruction, beat Dosen.
Dude, he is just keeping that heat flowing right now. And that's, I mean, without the Valk, the Trance used, everybody being super patient on Spitfire as well. You could tell, they were like, okay, Trance is out, chill, just stay alive, and then collapse on the targets. They will not have the healing through, but keep them in the fight. Dosen with the snipe on Neko.
Someone has just achieved a higher plane of transcendence in that fight right there. Dosen has done so much damage again, but completely shut down. That is the bomb they needed. But instantly resurrected. They know how important Dosen is for this next fight as he nearly has Transcend yet again.
And this is now the longest fight in the history of fights. 2 Winstons going at it with the Tesla Cannon. That's going to take a while. But Dreamcasper decides to chime in. He has his say. Transcend is going to be used, and they can try and push it forward here if he wants. He's trying to keep his teammates alive, Dosen not committing to the payload just yet. And the flash surprise. Fury looking for the hunt, looking for the punish, but it's not going to be happening here just yet. He will eventually catch Dreamcasper out. The tree's so slow, it's so hard for him to get out of harm's way.
There's another Valkyrie on the field for the London Spitfire. That Mercy has not had her wings clipped very often in this fight. They will take down Dosen yet again. They're trying to get to this back line, but every time they get one, they just get brought back to life.
This is all on Hureg, though, just staying alive. You can tell his positioning is key. He's trying to stay in the back line behind his tanks, which will allow him to do exactly this. Just keep hitting the headshots. Misses his flash, though, and that's a big deal. He should fall here, but the focus fire not quite there for Boston. Hureg, how is he still alive? He is still in this fight.
Matters not, though, with 4 seconds over a minute. Once it goes under a minute, that is all the advantage. London would have had a free shot at this map had they finished it with over a minute. They would have gotten a next crack on offense, while Boston would not have. Now, London in position to not only get a free map try, they might not even win this map. Last fight incoming.
This is it. All of the pressure on for the Boston Uprising. Dreamcasper, he's got the Deadeye, and we're going to have to see if he's quick with the trigger, if he's going to be able to create the opportunity here for his team. Dosen getting pressured. No surprise there. The Primal Rage getting popped immediately, though, and that's going to get things a bit dicey. But Birdring staying on Striker, finds the first kill. Gamsu's there to bring it back and drop Hureg. No heroics from him, and no Deadeye, more importantly.
Taken such an interesting position here, and during this fight, Nuss has been able to get up to his Valkyrie. There's another Transcend. They're going to piggyback these onto each other. That allows you to use damage boost on Valkyrie over the top while everyone's healing on the ground. Birdring has supports in his sights, finds Calyx. That is huge.
That is the big kill right here. Birdring with that target acquisition, staying on top of it. Gonna be able to get back here to allow his teammates to heal him up as well, and this could be the turning point. London Spitfire on the brink of tying it up 3-3, and they pull it off in the end.
That one missed flashbang you noted there might have been the difference between a free roll to try to get a point or just forcing a draw from London. It was about 1 minute 15 there. If you finish the map a minute over the time bank, you get a crack at it on offense, the other team doesn't. As it stands, we're gonna go down to each team getting another turn on first point offense, and with how long it takes to walk to first point on Numbani, it's pretty much one and done.
Yeah, we'll get the chance to see one attack on offense for each of these teams. I mean, they're chuckling right now, London, but this is definitely a very close match to start things off here. A real joy here to start off the second day of this week.
Sometimes what you'll see in this situation, with only a minute to attack on Numbani, is you just let your Tracer go in and go right to the back line. Because if they die, they can get back to the fight, and you can reset and still get in there one more time. But if you get in and you get that kill, that's a huge advantage right away.
Well, all eyes now on Boston Uprising. Looks like they'll be the one starting on attack. London Spitfire on the defense. And no surprise here to see the Soldier in play for Hureg in case the Pharah comes out. He'll have that hit scan to deal with her at range along with Anna.
Prophet, Numbani's second most deadly player. Not on this map. He's giving the Peace Among Worlds speech somewhere.
2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Curious now. All right, so what do we got coming in from Boston? No big changes. They didn't go for the Lucio this time to get to the point faster. Do you think that's a fitting play, or are they just aiming for the one powerful attack with the Discords?
You're just getting one in, and it looks like just the way they're positioning that they know they're not going to get a second shot at it. If it all goes wrong, maybe you switch to Lucio and try to get everyone there quick enough, but it looks like they just want to take a slow position, want to make sure everything is set up right. Here comes a dive.
Oh no, the biotic nade gets canceled out immediately, point blank. This is a big turning point, a big opportunity for Boston. One misplay could turn it all. Fury having to give ground, having to back up, and just like that, Boston, they've nearly got 2-6. They've got the point. In the blink of an eye, the one attack that they needed desperately there at that point, and they actually managed to make it work.
Perfect play there. You and I were just talking about how great Biotic Nade can be. One of the problems is when you have all these big tanks on your team that you can't necessarily get it where you need to go. A little friendly fire there actually turned around on them. You want to hit the other team so that they can't be healed, not necessarily to hit your team in that situation. And now Boston can push this as far as they'd like. London looking for one stop.
They have one win here, and they're going to be waiting to see if they mess it up this time. Probably not. Birdring in the back line. And this is definitely got to be the moment here for London that they've been waiting for. Fury and Dosen finding the frags, finding the kills. And there will be the wings out already for Nuss. He's not messing around. He wants to end the fight here, make sure that his teammates are alive with the damage boost as well, just shredding through the offense. And London Spitfire, note, is hanging in there till the bitter end, but that will be it. And it is a pretty big result here for Boston. They've managed to pick up that first point.
First point in 10 meters. Casper there had Blade, and I think he was holding on to it because the respawns are right there for your team. He was expecting both his tanks to come back, but both his tanks died right after one another, so they weren't coming back. He might have just needed to pop the Blade and hope for a miracle there, but I think he was hoping for a bigger play. In retrospect, it's very difficult to make that choice on the fly, but that offense sets themselves in a really good position. They have to really win one fight on first. That's it.
Yeah, that was as clean as it gets. You know, it's all about, well, right, we put a lot of emphasis on the nade and how sadly sometimes your tanks can get in your way. Whatever, chaos, it happens. But they were so clean together, Boston. Everybody grouped up together, able to focus down the targets, get those initial kills so rapidly that they were able to swing it their way. That was as clean as it gets. Papa Huck is smiling. And so now we have to see the defense, if they're going to be able to get that wall going and put a halt to the Spitfire.
I wonder if the strategy will remain the same for Boston, which has been just dive Vidosin in the back line. The reason they have to do that in this situation is with the minutes and overtime, Vidosin's been getting his ults about every 120. About 1 minute and 20 seconds, he's been getting Transcend out, which is a ridiculous rate. So if it goes into overtime, they're likely going to have to fight into a support ult.
Attackers incoming.
That can make all the difference. We've seen the Trances play out, just keeping so much healing for your teammates. You need that burst fire to get through that, and well, Striker will be the one to provide it if he can get that pulse bomb quickly. Tracers, of course, can charge those insanely fast. Look at this, the pressure immediately here from Dream Casper. Damage boosted, just shredding through Hurek. Hurek having to be a bit careful, and that is going to force Jester's hand. Jumping up to the high ground, forcing Soldier down to the low.
Not the greatest angle for a Soldier 76 right here, as they're going to have to back up and now just tiptoe around the point. Calyx going down to the man who's been such a murderer in Zenyatta. Dosen in the mix.
Oh, this is big. That's a lot of healing lost here for Boston, but Dream Casper is there. He will drop the field, just keeping his teammates alive, and that is only one tick picked up here for London Spitfire. They are running out of time. 10 seconds left on this clock.
But it's yet another elimination for B. Dosen. That is a secondary kill. They won't give up the ghost here. Maybe a little miscommunication as they do lose the D.Va off the point. No, just barely still in mech. B. Dosen 75% on his Transcendence. Valkyrie already up for Nuss.
These are some spicy rockets, though. Not letting him get healed up, and Dosen again with the kill. How does this guy keep doing it? He keeps making it happen, connecting orbs with faces.
He can't keep getting away with it. This is ridiculous. They're gonna have Valkyrie. They could pop it right now and go after it. Then they could follow it up with Transcend. Val could come out right now because that is going to be a justice from above.
Perfect barrage. Hurek still alive as well. Reigns supreme. There is the Falcon play though, so we'll see if they can make that happen. But again, this guy, he can't be touched, and he'll get the Discord on the Valk. And Calyx not long for this world, and it surely will be a .1 here for London Spitfire. And the first map goes the Spitfire's way.
So I want to talk about how this works in concert a little bit. Dosen does so much damage, doesn't need to do the healing. Nuss does all of the healing. His tanks take so much damage. He had Valkyrie advantage very often in that fight, having Valk early up throughout that map. It's all coming together. The tanks know when to ride that fine line of too much damage, not enough, and their supports are reaping the benefits.
That's insane when you think about it. 13 final blows from Dosen. I mean, you're supposed to be a healer, man. You're supposed to be worrying about your teammates, keeping them alive. He's like, no. Headshots are what I wake up for in the morning.
He's smiling.
Yeah, they know.
He got like 4 of the first 6 kills on their last push. He was crushing it. And I want to give these tanks a lot of credit as well. They're really enabling their supports to play well.
And we're seeing a well-oiled machine. But of course, when you're talking about the Spitfire, that is what is expected. Now, it is going to be all about Boston turning it around here for map 2.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP and by Intel.
Casper, DPS Flex, Boston Uprising. I like trying to carry my team to victory and like helping them out.
Dreamcasper coming in, lots of damage.
Yeah, my style is like an assassin basically. I like to flank a lot and just be sneaky.
Great play actually from Dreamcasper. He was able to get in.
Genji, he likes to come out of nowhere and like surprise your enemy, like surprise attack a little.
And sure enough, he's going for it. Chops one, chops two.
At first, my parents didn't really support my gaming career, and as Overwatch came out and I was able to prove I can actually like do something with it, they started to be more supportive, and as I got on their team, they just like 100% on board with it after that. My personal goal is to show people we can go really far and we can actually come on top of this thing.
There you have it, Dreamcasper, the man on your screen, one of the stars, the standout players for Boston Uprising, and you know he plays them all, Hex, but he is really good at shredding that back line.
It's a game about versatility, and it allows this roster to play so many different styles when they want to. Different variations and wrinkles of dive, which is kind of their core as a team, what they like to play. It's the core of a lot of teams, to be honest.
To be fair, yeah.
But he allows you to play all sorts of different stuff, and Dreamcasper has been one of those true Crusher 99 stories. A kid came up the ladder, got noticed, played for some of the early teams, and now he's in the Overwatch League.
Better name, though, I think.
Yeah.
Still, I like Dreamcasper a bit more than Crusher 99, but still, fire reference. Hex points for that. Rascal will be subbing in for Hureg. And so what does that make us think? I always feel like if you're going to get Rascal into the play that the Spitfire have got something up their sleeve.
Well, Hureg's been playing a lot of Pharah. Not the best map for Pharah as we go into Anubis. You can play it in certain different styles, but you're going to run into a lot of Widow on first point. You're just going to get plucked out of the sky. Rascal allows them to play maybe a Widow and a Tracer together as well, as Birdring can pick up one of those heroes. So I think it's going to be mostly about just getting Hureg, who's been their Pharah specialist, out of the game. They're not going to run a lot of Pharah here.
And there are also, I mean, on the second point defense when you're on Spitfire, you know, having somebody who's versatile, who can play different characters like Mei, etc., right, to stall out that point and buy time. That'll be fun to see. Rascal's always a joy to watch. Here we get the fly through, so we will be making our way through this first archway. That's the first choke point that the offense are going to have to deal with, and they're going to move in here where the first cap point is. So this is where the big fight will happen at the start.
There's been a lot of teams who set up a really cool static defense on the Widow perch, which is right above there. You use a Mei, which a hero you love. I'm sorry to just out you on that one. To get an Orisa up there and set down a static shield. You like seeing her, you don't necessarily play her, so I'll give you that caveat.
No, that's the thing, exactly, right? I like watching great Overwatch. When I play against a Mei, I feel like murdering something because Mei is so insanely frustrating to play against.
So I was playing on Roadhog, and Mei like freezes me and shoots me in the head, and then I start walking away, taking a breather, freezes me, shoots me in the head 3 times in a row. That was that's when I had to take a break from the casting lounge upstairs. We are going to see this really cool defense, and the reason that you're running Mei here early on is not necessarily to actually run a Mei. It's to get Gesture up there, despite having 4 legs, not quite the leaping horse body for Orisa, but you get up here, you drop a shield, trying to hide it right now, and then you put a Widow behind it, and it's really hard to crack. The only great way to crack it is either make them abandon that top point, not generally going to happen, or double tanks and a Genji. The Genji has to go up there to put some pressure and damage on.
It is a bit of a shame considering Orisa, you know, this horse robot beast thing where you can't ride her into combat.
Yeah, that should be her next ult.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah. Hop on back and let's go for a wild ride. All right, we're into it now. Boston Uprising will be on the offense as the away team starting off, same as what we saw here. So Numani to start things.
That's exactly what I thought. Casper comes out on the Widow, realizes that he is outgunned in the Widow battle because he doesn't have a giant static shield this is up against, so he is going to move over to the Genji. They rotate it down to the correct composition. This is about as simple as it gets. When you see this defensive static point, you switch into this composition. Just about trying to find the right angle now. They're going to take low ground. Both tanks will go up, and Casper will go with them.
And this is exactly it. Both tanks dive up immediately, forcing him back, forcing him to give ground and not hide behind the shield. And Dreamcasper there to decapitate those that already. Note finds the kill. Both of the backline are dead now for Spitfire. How do you hold?
They outthought themselves. They played themselves right there. Casper generally goes up, so you saw both of the supports vacate that area, expecting it when both the tanks went up there. Casper noticed it, just went right after the support line anyway on the right-hand side. Says, if I don't have to climb the wall, I'm not going to. Dashes through the right-hand side. It's a case of outthinking yourselves. I know that you know we're going to do this. Casper gets the last laugh.
Exactly right, Hex. This is why it's so fun to watch Overwatch. Yes, okay, sometimes you see the same comps, but then it's the game within the game, the mind games, the positioning, and who's trying to outsmart whom. That's what it's all about here. And right now, well, London Spitfire, they did not get the start that they were looking for. Boston Uprising looking to continue to apply the pressure. And Striker's already got the pulse. Gets the D-Mech, perhaps. No, not quite. Just on the Nick there. Nick was able to pick it up.
An enormous kill right there to take down Nuss on the other side of things, as Kellex has used his own Valkyrie. They are so much healthier right now. Nako goes down, Nako back to life, and Boston rampaging through Anubis.
And already you have the Winston to block off 1 point there for the offense. The defense not quite able to get out, and just like that, a shock of a start here. Boston able to pull it off, get both cap points with a monstrous amount of time left in the bank.
I thought crossing the Delaware on Christmas to slaughter your enemy was brutal. That was a brutal offense from the Boston Uprising. That was amazing. Largely because Dreamcasper read that situation perfectly. You saw he was about to jump, then he sees Mercy's beam follow down the Zenyatta. It's like they just served themselves up on a platter.
The Hunt, man, you're not going to be able to pull a fast one on the Casper. He's in your dreams, he's in your mind, he knows what you're about. And so now we're going to switch in to the second half of this map, and they are going to change sides, and it's all going to be on Spitfire here to go to dive bomb going and try and do the same, be as quick and as thorough as the Boston were on their offensive side. Kind of keeping an eye here on Boston to see what they have in store for us in terms of defense, but it doesn't look like anything quite too fancy here, Hex.
No, they're not. There's really only two defenses that we've seen be effective here, and it's the static defense up on first point, and a very aggressive defense in which you position your tanks over top. They're going to be waiting over the doorway, and as soon as someone peeks in, both of those tanks drop down, both of your flankers come in and deal with that. Striker is going to be watching over on the right-hand side, which in your ladder games is where the Junkrat always is, just to try to orient people there. And this is really the only two styles. Now this one, if you get a couple kills, it's going to stall out point A. Very nice. The static defense has a way to be cracked as well. But generally, you're not planning on full holding first point A. That's just the nature of Anubis, but you want to be able to be competitive in these fights so you don't get snowballed, which is exactly what happened to the Spitfire.
You can see the spread here for Boston Uprising, covering all of the angles. Gamsu in position to be able to leap to support wherever London Spitfire decide to take the attack. And so comms, once again, going to be key here. Boston Uprising, they need to be on top of it. They need to be a unit. And so now, attackers incoming. Let's get this show going. Both tanks just go leaping in, trying to get that information immediately here, and it doesn't look like Jester's going to be too shocked by what he spots out.
The defense is all where they are because they know there's a Widow on the other side of things. None of them are in sightlines. That's why Gamsu was behind the point. Now it's time to go, and a rocket barrage takes down Vidoshin.
Whoa, and Nuss is out of it as well. That's one way to shift things up. That's a big play from Boston, just taking the fight and the reflex. Birdring, get out of town. Get out of here. Dreamcasper, he doesn't want to have anything to do with you.
It's a taste of his own medicine there. Boston has super prioritized the enemy support, so much so that you have to be wondering if the tanks are going to play further back, which makes London have to play a different style than they're really used to. It's a beautiful headshot on the entry. He baits out the Mercy, misses that follow-up shot, though.
Oh, that would have been a huge kill, and now the follow-up here as well. They are going to give ground, but no! Birdring just takes the fight to him! No mercy! Not a shred of it! Gamsu is dead! And the reflex already used. There is nothing to stop Birdring in his reign of terror now. Although a blade to the face just might do it. Dreamcasper, he commits the ult. Fantastic play from him, and it's Rascal now just trying to stay alive.
This blade gets so much work done, and even if they don't end up holding this point, it gets work done because the Valkyrie was forced out from the side of London. But Boston has designs on continuing to hold as their own Valkyrie is now out. This fight is not over. Rascal solo, Rascal down.
And Gamsu there, squash him flat. Fury has to back off. Yet again, London Spitfire rebuffed at the first point. And Hex, I mean, right now we are seeing something very special here from Boston. They are doing a fantastic job of stalling them out and getting these key kills again. Dreamcasper realizes that there is a major threat, and he just commits with the Dragon Blade immediately.
He's been the stuff of nightmares for opposing supports, crushing it on these blades here. One of the more consistent Genjis in all of the Overwatch League, and I mentioned at the outside of the show that Boston was going to have to play guerrilla tactics here, and they've been scrapped.
Once again, though, Fury coming up with a big kill. On that Diva, he doesn't care. He'll assassinate you regardless. We have Rascal in play now with the Dragon Blade, going for the slice and dice, hardly getting anything out of it. Kellex not going to make it out alive, though. He did get sliced once at least, and Jester's able to capitalize. Now it's just no kind of, crouching in the corner, hoping that they don't see him.
Trying to buy a little bit of time to make sure that his defense can get in the proper composition that they want. Casper will be treated to the wrong side of a dash as Rascal goes through. However, all said and done, a very solid first point defense on Anubis from the Boston Uprising, and they're in a decent position. They took those fights even enough, won the first one, so now the ultimate economy in very good shape. London will have a window though, as Nuss is moving towards Valkyrie, Kelix still 50% away.
This is a question of whether Kelix can sneak some heals in here on his teammates, trying to get that evened up fairly quickly. Birdering though, point blank, sure, you want to jump on me? How's about some shotguns to the face? That already forces out the trance though, and so already Boston finding the kills. Dream Casper, this man is relentless, again annihilating the back line.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, it is Casper goes down, takes down those two. One swipe of the blade takes down both supports on the other side of things. London committed their Valkyrie towards that, and now they're going to have to push into Kelix, who has Valkyrie. The switch up from Boston as they're off of the defensive Genji, which I think is the correct move. They're going to make entry more difficult by putting Casper on, I believe, his 5th hero so far of the match. He will be playing the Junkrat, which is an absolutely brutal hero to push into.
High ground occupied now by Rascal. There it is. He wants to spar out exactly where these supports are playing from because he has the Dragon Blade. If he can get a dash in, it'll get the reset. He spots out Dream Casper as well. This is all valuable information here for Rascal. You can feel it, the tension. He's just waiting for his teammates to give him the go signal for him to get in there and start hacking people to bits.
It might not be this push. They might wait, especially now with Bidoshin down. The thing is, you saw Rascal looking at that back right-hand corner, and that is essentially where you want to go. That's where most of the supports are. But there was one of the most frightening bodyguards you'll ever see back there if you're a Genji, and that is the Junkrat. You're going to be pushing into mines. You might fall into a trap. There's just too much to deal with in that back corner, and Genji's a great closeout hero on Anubis. But Boston's playing this so well by positioning where their supports with the Junkrat. I'd be surprised if they both stay up here. Yeah, he's going to retreat back. He's on bodyguard duty.
Exactly right. Make sure that your healers stay alive. That'll give you longevity. Gamsu finds Rascal somehow. And now Node's going to go ahead and take advantage of that. Take a little bit of a peek here to see what's happening. Nuss having already to commit a resurrect, and this is it. Dream Casper just decides to get rid of Gesture immediately with the Riptire.
Well, you just take it. He absolutely gave you the free kill there. Nuss out of this fight means that London is out of this fight. They're going to have to get on their retreat, and already, let's just take a second to look at these time maps. 6:11 was Boston's time left after their offense. We are under 3 minutes for London's offense simply.
This is a fantastic performance from Boston. They are really prepared for this matchup, it seems, on this map in particular. The defense is impregnable. And so now, Spitfire, they have done a very good job of managing their ultimates. At least they have that. If they can find the opening, if they can stop getting picked off one after another here by Boston, they have the tools necessary.
Now a little bit of switch up, but Casper has gone back onto the Genji, and I don't think they were expecting it. An immediate dash through Rascal will take him down. They've used the one resurrection on Rascal. Doshin down, not brought back to life just yet. They wait for the last second to bring him back. And now London has a little bit of a footing here.
There's the opening, and they still have the trance in play as well here from Doshin. Rascal has committed the Dragon Blade as well. He's looking to get some chopping going, and sure enough, he will find Note in the end. But it will be traded out. Somehow Note gets the self-destruct kill on him.
I thought he was around the corner. I imagine that he thought he was around the corner as well. As Rascal falling means that they will not have a counter to this. Dragon Blade comes in and beautifully timed transcend.
Oh, sick prioritization here from Doshin. Completely cancels out Dream Casper's ultimate. That's exactly how you want to use it if you're Zenyatta. No Dragon Blade, no kills, but they do get forced back yet again. London Spitfire with nobody on the point. Oh, and finally they're going to get a presence there, but it's immediately contested.
Try to get a presence here. Note pushing in, doing a little bit of damage right now. Birdering's got a pulse bomb, but that's one of the only ultimates on the field.
This is outright chaos, and this is exactly where you want to be right now. Maybe London can be able to pull ahead exactly with Nuss there to bring his teammates back to life with the Valkyrie. Gamsu will find Doshin. Finally, that Zenyatta is dead, and Striker still in this fight, getting very close to a pulse bomb, but he will get caught. Rascal hunts him down mercilessly, and eventually, London Spitfire will pick up the second point and tie us up 2-2.
Nako just a step too late, getting back to the point on his Transcendence.
All right, so what we have for you here is special. We're going to get to listen to the Boston comms. You know, we've been giving them a lot of praise here on the communication. Let's go ahead and have a listen real quick.
It's in one going for Mega.
Can you do it? Don't shoot. Oh. They pick up.
Hopper backline.
Careful right there.
On the Gandhi dead. Stay point.
Yeah, stay point. Oh, what's left? What's left?
Backline stay together. Monkey. Nice.
That's clean. That is real clean. Backline stay together. That's exactly what you need to be reminding everybody of. You know, don't get carried away. You're capping the point. Energy is running high, but keep your priorities focused.
Focus fire is one of the biggest reasons why the successful teams are successful, especially closing out last points of Anubis. If you have your 2 DPS targeting 2 different things, that means there's another second of stall on the point, and that's time for Zenyatta to get back. What was great there is you saw the Primal Rage knocking Bidoshin back at his spawn, not once, but twice. Stay off my point, says Angry Winston right there. And this looks like it is Boston's map for the taking. That is such a huge disparity in the time bank. 5 minutes is an eternity in Overwatch.
Yeah, they're going to have a long time to make the plays here. And it will be the Spitfire starting off on the offense. We'll get those graphics updated at the top fairly quickly here. Not going to fall for that one.
They're going to push in here. They have to win this fight. They only have a minute already. And already Bidoshin being target fired. They target him so bad it gets Nuss out of position. He will fall quickly, and it is time for a reset. There's no reason to keep going after this. You only have one more push.
35 seconds left on the clock here as well. That is not a whole lot of time to work with. You're fairly low on ultimates. Fury, the closest to be able to pull off a self-destruct. And Rascal just trying to find an angle here. And yeah, sure enough, we'll start to farm a little bit of energy himself. I like this angle from up here as well.
And trying to get in there. You often see Widows up here as well. Dive defense, they put themselves away in these corners. They can't get really an angle on it. Yeah, I think he's waiting for a call to help him go in on Dreamcast, where he's going to have to wait for the rest of his team.
As he spot out the back line there, it looked like Neko could be a little bit out of position way far back. Could have been vulnerable, but it doesn't look like it. Instead, the whip will begin to burn, and overtime is underway. London Spitfire need to keep that presence going on the point, need to keep tapping it, need to keep staying alive, but Dream Casper is there to ruin their hopes and dreams. Fury will get DMX, commits the self-destruct, but it's not in a very solid position at all, and Nuss will be there to bring his teammate back to life. Now is the turning point, now is the moment for London Spitfire to shine. But Dream Casper continues to reign supreme, he is still here.
A little too spread out was that Spitfire offense. The Transcend came, but for no avail, was unable to save anyone. And Boston able to use their support ultimates. Seems like they've locked London Spitfire out of first points.
Fantastic work from Boston. And yeah, not too smiley now for the London Spitfire. Things are not going according to plan. The pressure really going to ratchet up on them because 6 minutes and 11 seconds in the time bank for Boston means they have an eternity to take the fight and be methodical on this first point themselves.
6 minutes and 11 seconds, hold on, to take a third of first point, it just gets better, of Anubis. I could pick up 5 guys, and we could probably take 33% of Anubis against anyone. That's not true. I'm terrible.
Yeah. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
But this has to be a perfect defense, and if they have a perfect defense, they get a draw.
This will get it exactly. They get a draw. Oh, that is definitely not what Boston are hoping for here. They're looking to tie up this series 1-1, and the third map in this series will be Control as well, where they would definitely have a chance to stand out. Boston right now, they are on the brink. Now it's about the composure. It's about keeping cool and staying focused on the goal.
In these offensive advantage situations, I think you can run a strat very common to Mystery Heroes, one of my favorite arcade modes. You just trade. Just trade as much as possible because you're favoring the offense. If we just keep throwing bodies and we're getting 1v1s, eventually they will just not get back there on time.
Okay,
Boston,
comrade.
of course, not going to be playing Mystery Heroes.
Definitely not. Dream Casper actually decides to back off, perhaps noticing that there is no Widow in play. They have changed up their strategy here. London Spitfire for the defense, realizing that it definitely did not work in the first half. There will be no Widow here for London. There will be no barriers either. This is dive v dive.
Dream Casper will add yet another hero, I believe his 6th so far, and that is a huge kill! That's 2 huge kills!
That is the play that can make all the difference. Nuss is gone. They've lost Gesture as well. Boston, take a deep breath and just finish them at this point because you have got every advantage. Oh, Dream Casper missing a couple of clean shots there. That could have been it. Those shouldn't be long for this world, though. Gamsu able to stomp him into the ground, and the first point about to take over. Boston Uprising will tie up this series 1-1. We have got a match on our hands.
What a game from Boston. They seem to have figured out this mode so well. Their style of defense, while other teams are trying to be static, hold the point, and let the Widow take them to victory, Boston says, we play dive. We play dive on offense, we play dive on defense, and we do it really well. Try to break it.
Yeah, we take the fight to you, and that's the big thing. They're not waiting for their opponents to try and make the play. We saw it repeatedly there from Boston, where they were brave, and they took the fight to the Spitfire in the skies, on the ground. They won, and they've tied it up 1-1 here in this series. When we come back from the break, we'll be hearing what the analysts have to say about our first match of the day.
The enemies of Talon will be doubled.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP. It's halftime live from the Blizzard Arena. We are tied up 1 apiece here. Epic showdown between the Boston Uprising going up against the unbeaten London Spitfire. And here to break down all the action, we got Bren alongside Reinforce once again. It's time to get into this one. Let's start with Numbani. Our first map was a bit of a surprise right out of the gates. As we take a look at some of the general highlights, there was an initial battle we started to follow, and it was all about the Pharahs, Johnny.
Yes, and it was a bit surprising to see Hurig in the starting lineup. Now, I wanted to see some Doomfist, but obviously Doomfist is not really in the meta. So we saw the Pharah come out. And I think this was a read from the coaching staff of London Spitfire, knowing that Dreamcasper isn't that good on the Macrian Soldier. Now, he did play it. He did pretty well for himself. But overall, I think that Boston Uprising weren't in their comfort zone in this matchup. So it played out pretty well for the London Spitfire, but it was close on Numbani.
Both teams were pretty successful on their attacks, and let's talk about what was working for them, Brett.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in general, it was a very clinical sort of play style all around. I do have a telestration as well to display the insights powered by Intel to talk us through exactly how London were approaching these team fights, and it's something that you can tell that Boston have done their prep. They've done their homework with this match. This is what I've been really respecting out of Boston, is the fact that they are ready for this game. If we go back a little bit, because the clip is not quite there, but we can see the setup we can get going on here. In the back lines, you've got going on right now, this defense all around here. It's going to be passive by Boston Uprising. They know that London Spitfire are going to be trying to dive onto the back lines, but Dosin is also way too far forward as well. And this, again, just shows that Boston are very prepared coming into this match, because they know that London are going to be trying to jump onto the support back line. And the name of the game here is the counter dive. You notice Boston, they realize that London are going to be trying to dive onto them, and Gamsu and Striker are in position to strike back, but Dosin gets cleaned up super easily. And again, Note is available and ready on the Diva onto the high ground. They're peeling for the supports as well into the backline, so Hurek goes down, gets punished, as well as Nurse as well. And this was a general theme throughout both of these maps, in fact, not just Numbani. Even though Boston lost the first map, Numbani, quite narrowly, this showed to me that Boston was super prepared coming into this match, whereas London, I don't think they expected Boston to be putting up this much of a fight against them.
That's some excellent breakdowns there. And Johnny, I want to ask you, as we close out the insights powered by Intel, let's finish the discussion on the dive and the counter dive that we're seeing out of Boston. What do you think of adding Note into the lineup here, working alongside Gamsu on those tanks?
Well, Boston overall looks a bit more aggressive than we saw them versus San Francisco Shock. Overall, I think Gamsu necessarily was a bit too passive in that match we saw last week. So in this match, he's a bit more aggressive, and maybe notice they're maybe dictating a bit. Let's go aggressive. Let's go for those dives. And overall, I think it's working out really good for Boston, because London Spitfire, they haven't really showed Junkrat in the past, so the anti-dive and peeling isn't really there for those dives.
Before we get to game two, let's wrap up our first map, Numbani. What was the difference maker? Because at the end of it all, it was London walking away with the victory.
For me personally, I think it was sloppy ultimates from Boston in general. A lot of the times they were using ultimates when they didn't need to. Basically, Boston were coming into it with a disadvantage. They had less ultimates than London in a lot of these team fights, and they were still using them. And London are very sort of patient, I should say, with their ultimate usage. They're not going to be wasting them willy-nilly all over the place like Boston were doing in that match. A couple of times, Kelix was using his Valkyrie to take fights when they didn't need to. Generally, the economy was a lot better coming out from London in that first map, but it turned around in map number 2.
I think when Boston goes back and watches the tape, they'll also notice Note tried to challenge that final point. He was in the Diva, got caught out, demeched, and that was kind of the downward spiral at the end of game number 1. Let's take it now to game 2. Boston, after losing a very close game, comes back and just wipes the floor with the Spitfire on their attack. As we roll some of the general highlights, let's talk about the players that were going off. Note, fantastic work on the Diva throughout our first 2 games, but Dreamcasper was all over this kill feed.
I mean, overall, I think that Boston Uprising just executed really well, but London Spitfire didn't really put up that much resistance. It's very unlike any of these top teams. We have New York, we have London, and of course Seoul. But London Spitfire is now looking like the weakest one of the 3, I would say. Boston Uprising just steaming through this entire round on the Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, and Johnny, I agree with your assumption there, or your analysis that London are sort of the weakest Korean roster team currently in the league. They haven't shown as much, they've shown promise, right? And I've said this time and time again, they've shown potential to be one of the best teams, mainly because of the players they've got. They've got the pieces, they haven't quite worked out how to fit them together just yet. But what's evident from these 2 maps, and I say it again, is the fact that Boston have done their homework. They've come into it prepped, they know exactly what to run, and London honestly looked a bit, confused coming into this. They weren't sure what Boston were doing, because it's a different side of Boston we've seen. We saw an aggressive forward hold on Anubis first. They were punishing London's sort of passiveness, and it really worked out in their favor.
Johnny, let's talk a little bit about the issues that London had with the Boston attack, because it seemed when London attacked, Boston was meeting them at the front gates and stopping them short. But when Boston was on the attack, London was folding. What did we see from Boston coming into game 2?
Well, we can just play a clip of that attack specifically. And of course, we're going to take a look at London holding the high ground with the Orisa, of course, but we don't see a Junkrat in the lineup. Instead, we see Rascal on the Genji. So we're just going to look at Gamsu and Dreamcasper pretty much just roam the entire point and have their will. Taking down the supports early, Nos and Bedosen, of course, and without that healing in the long run, well, Boston Uprising is going to capture the point. So it's a bit surprising to see London Spitfire try to do this slow approach with the Orisa, which we've seen in the past with the Widowmaker, try to look for picks, but with not a Junkrat in the lineup, they're not really putting forward any resistance to Dreamcasper and Gamsu.
Exactly, and they tried to run Birdring on the Widowmaker as well as like a sort of substitute to try and get the picks they needed, but again, they weren't ready for Boston bringing the aggression to them. Multiple times we saw the dive being initiated in by the tanks of Boston, Gamsu leading the charge, and then the counter engage with Dreamcasper in the back line, Striker also attacking from different angles and collapsing onto that support back line. Really impressive stuff all around by Boston. I'm actually very pleased with the progress they've had this league.
It's very early in the match, but we are keeping our eyes on the player of the match possibilities. Dreamcasper, a ridiculous game 2. I got some stats here, 31 limbs, but our stats man, Ben, told us it's 21 final blows, 9 of them were on supports. No heals, no win. Boston with a big victory there on Anubis. We'll see if they can keep it rolling going into our third map. It's going to be Ilios. Guys, we didn't get predictions at the start of the match. Let's get it now. It's tied up at halftime. Where do we finish, Johnny?
Well, London hasn't been that strong on control, so it's a bit we don't really know, right? I'm hoping to see Hureg perhaps in combination with Birdring, see the Birdring Widowmaker on Ruins, and perhaps Hureg on the Pharah on Ilios Lighthouse.
Thank you for telling me about different heroes, but who are you picking, London or are you going Boston here?
Well, I didn't want to go that far, but I'll go with Boston, just for the sake of it. I'll go for it with
He's
Boston.
calling Boston, the 1-3 Uprising.
I'm not gonna lie, Pucky, I'm honestly feeling Boston. I honestly am. I feel like they can. This is going to go to a game 5, is what I'm feeling. And Boston have shown they've done the homework, they've done the prep. This is going to go to full distance, and Boston have the potential to take this one.
Are they going to?
I believe they will.
Both of my analysts are calling Boston. There you have it, guys. We'll see how this one plays out. Let us know on Twitter. Use the hashtag OWL2018. We'll be back in just a few with a big game 3. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
pick your poison, essentially. There's a lot of threats here for the Spitfire to use. This is astonishing from the Boston Uprising. They put this defense together so comfortably. Good dive in from Boston to find that first target.
That's a big resounding fight win for London.
Who's got the hard hand? That was a masterclass from the Spitfire. Huge turnaround. Boston make it a real game.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. We are about to get into a hot series to start the day here because it is tied up 1-1 between Boston Uprising and the London Spitfire X.
1-1, we said Boston might have a really good chance going into the next map type, which is going to be control. Both these teams, in all honesty, have struggled a bit on control, but Boston able to, I don't want to say steal Anubis, but they dominated Anubis. Maybe a little bit of a surprising result given the records of these teams coming in, and now if they can take control here, worst case scenario, they go to 5, and the 5th map would be control as well.
Exactly right. Playing to their strengths, perhaps. I mean, you're right. Both of these teams have struggled. That's been brought up on the desk a little bit as well, and so it's something to keep in mind going into it. But, you know, we do have the sub there, you know, rather, Hureg coming in for Rascal. I'm like, Rureg? No, that's not how it goes. Hureg coming in for Rascal. I mean, that kind of tells you Farah is going to come in.
They very well want to play Farah here on this map. Ilios a great map for it because there's a lot of tall buildings. Tall buildings allow you to use your concussion to get back out of position, to hide behind those positions as well. On the other side, they don't really have to sub out anyone if they want to go to far because Dreamcasper plays absolutely everything.
Dreamcasper's got to be one of the standout players of this series so far. I mean, on that second map, yeah, that's right. Dreamcasper, he is doing work right now. First map, he stood out. Second map, he dominated. It really didn't feel like Rascal was able to find any kind of space to try and counter him in that Genji v Genji.
No, and we haven't even seen one of his best heroes, which is going to be the Roadhog coming out. He had like something like an 87% hook rate, which is just ridiculous. Not only has he been one of the standout players so far in this set, I'd say of the Overwatch League, Dreamcasper has made a name for himself.
Yeah, he has. I mean, there are question marks, you know, going into this as far as Boston Uprising are concerned. You know, how valuable are these players going to be? It turns out that Dreamcasper was just a diamond in the rough. He was just waiting for Papa Huck to come and, you know, get him ready, polish him up, get him ready.
Yeah, the pressure turns people into diamonds like that. Like I say, he was a player on some of these rosters early on in Overwatch before the Overwatch League, but some of those rosters fell apart and plays many tournaments. So when we did see him play, we saw moments of brilliance, and he was always kind of stuck in roster jail, as it were, unable to show off his talents. Huck gave him the chance, and now leading this Boston team to what could be, I'd say an upset, if not a minor upset.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no way to look about it as far as London Spitfire are concerned. This is a team that's 5-0 in the league right now. They have not dropped the series. That is a beastly scoreline to have, you know, about halfway into the league, whereas Boston Uprising, they're 1-3. So the pressure is on Boston Uprising. All of these matches now matter so much for the Boston. They're not allowed any room for error. And so if they can pick up a win here versus London Spitfire, that would be huge.
We are going to kick it off on Ilios. There is the windmill that you can hide behind there. There is the pit of death, the pit of eternal sadness and despair.
Not for Lucio's, or Roadhogs, or Farah,
no,
or anybody who can boop you into the pit of despair.
For Lucio, it's just like a skate park. You know, you pull a Lucio in there, just, oh, cool. You get to work on my full pipe skills, not even half pipe.
And yes, the last point there as well, one of them. I mean, 3 points that these teams will be battling on, and you can see they're still trying to figure out exactly what they want to go for in terms of strategy. Boston Uprising, Dreamcasper, keeping us in suspense, keeping us waiting. Which one is he going to go for here, do you think, Hex?
I think since we're coming out here on Lighthouse, which will be the first stage of Ilios here, that you generally want to run a Farah here, and it's going to be a battle to hang out over by Lighthouse. You have that vertical building, you're able to hide behind, you're off of the range of a lot of different heroes, and there's a lot of times where a hit scan will try to set up on the balcony near Lighthouse, and you want to be able to pressure them out of that. Never mind, they're both going to run a McCree, it seems, right here, so that should be an interesting cowboy battle early on as well. This is a great map for McCrees, too, especially Deadeye McCree to really knock down a Mercy if you see one. No team running a Mercy. Well, Nuss switches last second, as does Kellex, but the stairways and all the hallways that a McCree can hide in
Sorry, go ahead.
Makes Mercy's job that much harder.
This is really interesting just because it feels like there's almost a gentleman's agreement between both of these teams. Do we agree on the roster? Yes, we meet at dawn. I mean, these guys are matched up perfectly now. Hureg, however, finding himself out in the open, connecting with the shots, though. Already doing the damage, and that's exactly what he wants. He's nearly he's past the halfway mark now towards that Deadeye.
Much better positioning early here from London as they're able to take the spot nearest to the point so they can just mosey backwards towards it and grab first control uncontested.
I mean, mean, he's doing a good job of playing the angles there. Hureg needs to be careful about getting caught. Of course, Boston Uprising going to try and find that pick on him eventually. Striker dancing. He's still alive. Nearly has the pulse as well, so we'll see when he decides to get that into the fight. Doshin could be in for a bad time, but instead it's for Doshin who finds the kill. Successful defense so far for London.
Dueling Valkyries do come out even though that fight was over. Hureg hits a huge Deadeye late into that fight, takes Kelix completely out of it. They did trade ultimates, but London happy to make those trades when they're in control of the points. It will be nearly 50% already on their marker before the next fight starts.
Curious to see when Dreamcasper will decide to get his ult into play. He has got his, and we can see how quickly a McCree who hits shots generates that ult percentage, and so there are going to be opportunities here. We have the Trance in play as well, but for both teams. It just ticks over here for Nako. But now London Spitfire occupying that mid ground. It's looking like we will have Boston Uprising kind of on the flank exactly. Gansu just launches himself in there and forces Fury to give ground.
Hureg had been hiding in the corner on the bottom stairs. They baited the team into it. The rest of his team was on the other side of things, and that is already a one fight as he surprised Casper off of their rotation. See if they set that up again. You really don't want to try the same sneaky spot twice because the other team will know that it's coming and punish you. Dreamcasper has had enough of the McCree duels, and he's going to switch on to Genji instead.
All right, we're going to get that chance to see if he's going to be able to catch him out between the Tracer, between the Genji on Dreamcasper. Things could get a bit dicey here for Spitfire. We'll see if they can react quickly enough. Hureg with the flashbang should be able to counter him. That is the goal eventually. Striker and No finding the kills. That's the backline again. Boston sticking to the game plan here, and they are making it work. Things are going to get pretty dicey now for the Spitfire, and Birdring decides enough is enough, and he chucks himself off the side to get respawned along with the rest of his teammates.
A great transcendence timing there by Nako as Kelix was under heavy fire there, and it doesn't seem like the biggest of deals, but Kelix being alive means he's going to be able to charge Valkyrie. Not quite as fast though. London has had some issues with ultimate coordination and knowing their windows. They will have a huge timing window where they have Valkyrie and Boston does not.
Big chance for a fight there. That's exactly when you want to be taking the fight to him. 6 ultimates locked and loaded, ready to go for London though. All gonna be on when they decide to pull the trigger, actually make it happen. There we go! The flash combo into the headshot, and Hureg is there to take down Striker, start things off, but he will get caught by Dreamcasper. That dash just goes dicing right through him.
Valkyrie over Hureg back to life, so that's putting the rest of the team on notice of that Cowboy. Very low as the Winston up top has to jump down before he gets pressured down. Meanwhile, London has snuck the point back. They're holding on to their Valkyrie. Can Kelix get here on time to stall it out? No, zoning Deadeye. London will take first point here on Ilios.
A fairly convincing play. Apart from the one collapse after the change, when they were able to get into the back line there, Boston, it started to look a bit better for them. London did not get flustered. They kept it together. So now we go into the second point, and it's looking like it's going to be the Pit of Despair.
Hureg.
I like that name. That's a good name.
Yeah,
I mean, look at it. It's just this black hole in the middle of the map that just sucks in sad tears from players who get launched into it.
The most horrifying thing about pits like that with no bottom is there any worse existence than just falling forever? Just constantly falling?
I guess that would be a pretty brutal way to go because you wouldn't exactly hit anything on the way. Unless you are rubbing against the walls. And eventually, I mean, do we really want to get into details here?
As graphic. This own version of Purgatory, they're all going to try to avoid it, but now with a bar in the sky for London Spitfire, that is another person who can knock you into that bottomless pit. The other side of things, Casper has not gone over to his own bar, so a little bit switches in composition here.
You can see the swap there between the movement speed and the AoE heals from Doshin, pushing him into the corner, and that is perfect when you've got the Tesla cannon just shredding. So much damage dealt by Gesture, and he is going to be more than happy. Birdring will find the kill on Gamsu. And once again, London off to a pretty strong start.
Doshin has played such a great Zenyatta that it's cool to see him play Lucio. He puts all those babies in the corner. The rest of his team absolutely cleans it up in dirty style. London will grab a second point here on Ilios. Dreamcasper trying to find an answer to his counterpart has switched over to Pharah as well. He got the better part of the air duel earlier on the first match.
There we go. The duel already underway, and Dreamcasper prevails. It will be Fury. Dancing, looking for a target. Eventually will find his way onto Kellis. Gonna knock him into the wall, and there we go. The damage is done. The kill collected, and Fury, he has done his bit of the work.
Knocks him right into the doorway. There's no escaping, trying to get past that. Diva Mac Burgering on the other side of things, cleaning up. He's going to use a self-destruct just to get a new Mac. Boston has to reset here.
Birding reigns supreme. It felt like he was a little quiet on the first couple of maps here, not really able to hit his stride, but we have certainly seen him do quite a bit of work here for London Spitfire on this third map in the series. Tied up 1-1 between both of them.
Valkyrie fights will be incoming, both teams with that. The big advantage for London is that they have a sound barrier as well. Usually you want to get two people rezzed up, then give them the barrier. That's the old resurrection mechanic. We'll see what kind of order they want to use for the support ultimates.
There's the barrage getting used though. Dream Casper again managing to find the pick on Hurek, but this time Nuss is there to get the res immediately, and no, catches Birdring out in the open with the self-destruct. That's going to throw a wrench in things. It's looking like Boston will be able to turn it their way. They have the man advantage, but Birdring continues to fight back, continues to pick up frag after frag. He is making the difference for his team. But it's all about buying time now, and Dreamcasper looking for the rocket. Not quite gonna find it just yet. Oh, that's so frustrating.
It's not gonna matter though. They are going to finally take back control, but they have to be flawless on their defense going forward. A voluntary jump right into the pit.
And Nuss will find out what we were talking about. What actually happens when you fall into the pit of despair. Gotta admire that bravery.
Needs a teammate to come up so he can Guardian Angel to him. Get out of there. Not the end for Mercy.
Never that. Dream just reigns supreme in the sky right now, though. And he's got that barrage ready to go as well. If they decide to group up, he can just go plummeting down, dive bomb straight into the fight, straight into the group. He's looking for the flank, looking for the squishes, and there it is! The collapse, but unfortunately for him, they're just out of range, and he's not able to collect. Instead, it's Striker who finds the kill on Hureg, and a successful fight now, at least the start of one for Boston, and well, Nuss getting clipped by Dreamcasper is definitely going to make a big difference.
Not enough to be able to take the point back. That is a strange primal range there late from Gesture as he takes down Nako, but that is about it. They're stalling out the point because they're so close, but this is something where you think you have a chance in the fight, but they absolutely did not. End up burning ultimates because of it. Boston nearing their way to start tying up these scores. 2 more 1 fights for Boston, and we'll be going to a 3rd stage of Ilios.
The Uprising believe in balance. Tied 1-1 in maps. Why not tie 1-1 in rounds as well? And eventually, it will be broken one way or another. They are continuing to get closer here to tying it up 91-91. They're at 75% now on the point. Boston, they have 2 ults to play with here as well. And most importantly, Kelix is very close to picking up that Valkyrie. Will be able to bring his teammates back into the fight. Hurek getting batted into the corner like a sandbag. Gamsu will pick up the kill, but Striker was there to help. And there's the pulse bomb going to work.
They do resurrect Hurek, they have to. He needs to hit 1 or 2 more shots so that he can get Deadeye and try to neutralize the opponent's team. Kelix did die before Valkyrie was able to come off though. That means if they can simply stall, Boston would be able to get back on the point with their own Valkyrie, but they have to keep someone alive to touch the point.
Yeah, Kelix just darts right in, and that's a big res. Gamsu, the monkey is back in the fight, so much HP, and already goes leaping right into the back line. Bedosian under pressure, hitting shot after shot though, forces Gamsu back around the corner. This is big. Kelix has got the opportunity, and once again the barrage goes raining in. Dreamcasper gets the D-Mech, but he gets traded by Bedosian.
Doshin on the 76 just to get back to the point on time. Hurek has gone to the Doomfist for very much the same reason. Not running the ideal composition here, but it is desperation time. Looking for a blind charge in through the corner. Boston has taken the map back. Now the onus on London to just keep bodies on the point.
And eventually the kills come through, and it will be a tied situation. Going into the 3rd point, Boston run it back. And they are doing a fantastic job right now against the team that has gone undefeated in this league so far. London Spitfire, you'd say that they're the favorites in this matchup. But Boston right now is showing that the underdog's got bites, got fangs.
This one should be fun as well. I call some of these stages on Control outliers because they play differently. Ruins is Widow's playground. We'll very likely see at least one team run a Widow. And early on, if your first push, if you're not also running a Widow, you put yourself at a huge disadvantage. So the early battle will definitely be Widow v. Whittle. Sorry, not Whittle, Widow. And it's going to be Dreamcasper versus Hurek.
You got to be like the double W or something, you know? We just got to get in there.
I will whittle in my old age. I'm looking forward to it.
Dream. This is tense. This will be the defining moment for who gets the strong start on this point. Birdring looking for the flank, but Note is there to cover the back line to watch out for his teammates. He's getting shot in the back though, gotta be careful. But Dreamcasper there to get the pick on Birdring. That's a strong start. Hurek going the back line, has been spotted. Dreamcasper does the job, wins the fight, and there's the opportunity. There's the opening for Boston.
Now Dreamcasper will have free reign of this field. No enemy at his gates this time. And now he can do whatever he wants. The big difference is, though, Hurek hit more shots overall. Didn't get the decisive kill, but that means he's got his ultimate available for Widow. He's able to see through walls. That makes him the favorite in this next Widow v Widow battle.
You can see Dreamcasper with positioning, trying to close the angle. Looking to try and pick off targets out in the open, but does not want to open himself up to a shot from Hurek. He will be able to spot the Zenyatta, but Ocean just barely making it back around the corner, and Dreamcasper trying to connect with the shot on Gamsu, but it's not quite going to happen. Or Gamsu, not his teammate, Gesture.
Gesture was able to get out there just barely, but walks his way into a pulse bomb. Is going to be resurrected immediately. Now they're going to jump on him. The ultimate advantage has switched. Casper's still waiting, holding on to his, getting very low. Striker on the ground. Both teams traded out Valkyries in this fight.
Striker doing a good job of staying alive, remaining a threat. He will get the VMech eventually, and he's still here to contest this point. Question of whether Dreamcasper will be able to make it back in time, but no, he gets clipped in the end. And so this is a fight that's looking fairly good, although Note will, he refuses to say die. Shuts down the back line, and that gives him a chance at least to stay alive a little bit longer.
Just a stall out coming here from Note as he tries to keep it in Boston's favor. London will flip it back over. Hurek has popped his infrared sight. Now it has dissipated. Dreamcasper with his own, able to use it whenever, but you can't use it from spawn. It's a beautiful kill there. They will use an early resurrection to even out this Widow battle.
You can see Hurek already looking to take advantage of it, changing up the angle, expecting the mind games. And he's just connecting shot after shot, already up to 35%, just laying in the damage, softening up those targets. And well, Jester's gonna like that. Birdring, though, will find the kill on Gamsu to start things off. And there's Hurek reigning supreme, unchallenged. Although, as I say, a Dreamcasper connects with one.
It is interesting that even though you have infrared sight, the rest of your team is fighting in the only sight line that Widow can get. When the opponent Widow knows that they're seen through walls, they back up into the corner and will only shoot that open side. They will not expose themselves. So your team should not be fighting out there because that's the only place the other Widow can take. You go down into the corner, you try to put pressure on the point in that area, and that might be a better use, but they simply walked right into Hurek's sight lines.
Hurek decides to get a little cold feet, and he once again taking up the same position. He's going to pressure the tanks. As the tanks go leaping in, spots a man in the back line, not going to hit the shot, and he does manage to make it out just in the nick of time. Still has the grappling hook as well to stay alive, but he is under attack, getting batted around.
Way too far out there. Nuss going down to Gamsu on his way of retreat, trying to get back to that point, and now we've got a Transcendence on the point as well. Gamsu making his second life count, will take down Fury in the mix. Now another Primal Rage on the other side of things.
A Gesture, buying a little bit of time, and they are able to stall it out just a little bit longer. There is still another fight here possible for the Spitfire, that is certain. Hurek still on fire, although as we say it, we've been missing a few of these shots, but don't worry, the observers, they're not going to be. We'll probably get a replay with a couple of these as well. As Dreamcasper wins the duel versus Hurek this time. Feels like it was a little bit one-sided there, Hex. You know, it felt like Hurek was having a bit too much control.
Now they finally able to shut that down, and when you're the Widow, when your team's in control, you feel much better about it. You sit out of sight lines. The onus is going to be on London to push in, and then Dreamcasper will know where his team and where his shots are.
Still hunting. That was a bit dicey though, and eventually Birdring is there to collect the kill. Dreamcasper once again laid low, but Kelix is there to bring him back into life. Nuss, however, will get the reses on Gesture as well. This is going to get a bit long, a bit drawn out. Striker looking for an opportunity to hit the pulse bomb. He knows which target. He knows where his friend gets buttered. He wants to, well, annihilate Notion, but it's not going to happen. Decides to back it off and instead leave the work to Gamsu.
An opportunity there as they resurrected Bidoshin so that they could bring back the transcending Zenyatta. Boston will take Ilios. They're up in the series 2-1, Semler.
Just like that. The lead now for Boston Uprising. What fantastic stuff. And well, you know, Dreamcasper didn't really seem like he was measuring up quite well there versus, you know, his opponent Hurek, but then you've still got the likes of Striker, you've got Gamsu. They're working together as this killer unit, and you can just see them constantly getting the kills on the back line, despite everything.
Great play across the board from them. We'll be right back after we go to commercial. Got sounds of the game from Boston.
Baby one right side.
Baby shoulder one. On the shoulder man. On the shoulder man. Shoulder one.
두피 왔다.
Stol. On the shoulder.
메시 포인트. 메시 앞.
Back bubble. Nice. Get it back in back.
솔저 라인 사이드. 솔저 돼.
Shoulder dead. Man do face one. Mercy nice.
Show. I am Zoe. I'm currently joined by a fantastic audience. Thank you guys so much for showing up once again. Oh, it's a full house right here. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we just saw. London Spitfire, yet to be defeated, had a bit of a slow start today. So during halftime, I actually went and talked to their coach, Bishop, about that. And he said the main reason for this is the short turnaround between yesterday and today, because they played 2 consecutive days against 2 different teams, and they had little overlaps in terms of their map pool. Yesterday against the Shock, they played on Eichenwalde, Horizon, as well as Oasis, and just now we saw them on Numbani, on Anubis, and Ilios. So that's 6 different maps, 2 different teams within 2 consecutive days, and that's definitely not the easiest task to prepare for. Now, however, the next map we're going to see is Junkertown, and that's a map they did play yesterday. So let's see if they can walk away with the win. Are you guys cheering for the guys in blue? All right. Let's see how that goes. We're going to head back to our casters.
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Zoe. Perfect. All right, we're in. We're good. We're good to go. Because what's happening right now, Hex, Boston are up 2-1. They are in the lead right now over the Spitfire, a team that is undefeated so far in the league.
I think it's surprising for everyone. However, of the 3 teams that were undefeated, we thought that maybe London had some errors that could be exploited by other teams. I mean, you look at Seoul's been dominant, New York's been dominant. London's been dominant on paper, but they have a little bit, you know, some weaknesses that Boston is definitely exploiting.
I like that from the coach as well. We just didn't have enough time to prepare. Well, it's like, all right, fair enough, but you've got firepower, the likes of Prophet, and I think the crowd recognized the man as well. Prophet is now on the stage, and it feels like it's time to break out the nukes. That's what Spitfire are doing here, right? You know, they're changing up the armament on the wings. It's time to bring in the big guns.
Yeah, Prophet will take his seat. Knows he's on camera this time. We're going to Junkertown, and this is a map that a lot of the undefeated teams have struggled on a little bit. The teams with all Korean rosters, for the most part, have had some difficulties early on. This is a map that they have lost in previous iterations. A lot of it comes down to some of the cheesy strategies thrown at them, most notably being the old pirate ship.
I am a fan of cheese, and so, you know, go ahead and tell me. You know, the French side wants to know, what kind of cheese may we expect here on this map, Hex?
Metallic. Is that a good flavor for cheese?
So lead flavored? Okay,
yes.
That's interesting. I don't know. That seems like it's, well, not good in the short term or the long. So, what else?
Well, I mean, it's mostly you're going to put Bastion on the cart. That's it. That's what we talk about when we're referring to pirate ship. You put Bastion on the cart, you put an Orisa in front of him, or Reinhardt's, and then you've got all the gold aside, you've got cannons on board, and you're just mowing people down. And it really takes a Junkrat to try to deal with it, something over the top maybe. You don't ever really see a Pharah on this map because you see so much Widow as well.
Exactly.
Yesterday we saw Widow v Widow, and some of them stepping off the sides a little bit, so hopefully get their footing on the map as well.
There is a cliff in this first point, and if you aren't careful, you can go plummeting off of it, off the side of it. And this is why I really enjoy watching this map, is like you say, right, there's all sorts of varieties, you know, just like in real life, you know, a whole bunch of different kinds of cheese, you know, a lot of them good, you get to pick and choose, right, and if you're a glutton, you get to have them all. And some teams, they are very capable on this map of just changing it up on a dime. They're like, right, this strat isn't working, whoop, change it up, get a different one rolling, and maybe that one will be successful.
And you kind of have to on Junkertown because the map changes so much from first point to last point. It's what makes it one of my favorite types of map, when you can't run the first thing all the way to last because it gets more narrow, and then it gets claustrophobic towards the end. It gets smaller and smaller. You can see Widow nearly every point here.
Much like the cheese on my platter.
Just gets smaller
and smaller. Somehow, I don't know. All right, guys, it looks like we got to meet the team Boston, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at that now.
Up first, we have to introduce the Boston Uprising.
A lot of pressure on these guys. There is depth to this team that people did not expect to see.
My personal goals for this season is I want to be best teammate.
I want to be the best main tank player in Overwatch League.
Wow, Boston just destroying Shanghai.
My personal goal is to get to know my team really well and show people we can go really far in this league and not come out last place.
Wow, great play actually from Dreamcasper.
Right now, I think it's very possible for us to get into playoffs.
You can see they can be a very competitive team.
For now, Boston Uprising is weaker and not popular, but I think we have potential to be the best.
They're young, they're scrappy, they were able to pull off the victory tonight.
It's fitting music for a straight fire matchup, Hex. This has been going the distance, or it looks like it will. We are in the fourth map, and Boston are up 2-1, and it sounds to me at least that the crowd are pretty hype about that, which is sick to see. So many fans showing up every day to cheer for their teams. It's been a real wild ride here at the studio.
Yeah, tell your friends that it's happening down here at the Blizzard Arena. I ran into somebody today, actually, on my way to work, said, hey, nice hoodie, because I was rock my Overwatch hoodie.
Of course.
And I said, hey, you should come down to the arena. He's like, what arena? What are you talking about? I'm like, come on down, man. So tell your friends that it's all happening down here for some Overwatch. Still waiting to get into Junkertown. And while we wait to enter in, Junkertown is inspired, and some of the heroes of Overwatch inspired by Mad Max, the Road Warrior. What's your favorite Mad Max movie?
You're not going to like this, but I personally love Fury Road.
There's no reason not to love Fury Road.
Well,
it's inspired by the original? Yeah.
It is a contentious one, though, because people come at you, they're like, I hated it. And I'm like, how could you hate it? It was amazing.
Sometimes everyone's opinion matters. Those people's opinions do not. They're simply incorrect. Fury Road is an amazing film. Beyond the Thunderdome, if you like 80s camp, is amazing. So
let's take a stroll down memory. Actually, I mean, when Mel Gibson was young, just go watch the original Mad Max. It's always worth it.
Absolutely, and that Road Warrior.
Classic. Straight. I mean, well, I'm pretty happy with how Tom Hardy actually wound up, playing it in this time around. I think he was perfect for it because he's got that insanity in his eyes that is so fitting.
Every movie he's in, they cover up his mouth. The man is an amazing eyes actor. Is it Dunkirk? You got Dark Knight. Everything. Tom Hardy is acting only with his eyes. We'll see what the defense wants to come out here for the London Spitfire as our journey into cinema is now over. The Academy Awards coming up. I'm going to try to drop every title of an Academy Awards movie in the next several projects.
Just straight do it. Just do it. But right now, guys, definitely don't be covering your mouths. It's time to make some noise because we are going to get the action underway. It is Boston Uprising in the lead, 2-1, on the brink of giving London Spitfire their first loss in this league. And so this is it, the moment that we've been waiting for now for several minutes. 15 seconds left on this clock, and I'm very curious to see what variety of strategy we're going to have here from Boston Uprising. And, well, Nako, he's kind of making it clear that you're right, the bullet rain, it might be happening.
Well, for now, he is on it, but that might be a little bit interesting. You do put one of your supports on this sometimes and run a solo support. And it looks like Boston going to try to get out here onto the pirate ship, running with the sharp cheddar, as they've got a Hanzo and a Widow in tow as well.
Definitely not a Bree in this case. London Spitfire are going to have to dance to get around this point fairly quickly here. Gamsu waiting to get that shield up and running. And best yet is the fact that we have Striker on Hanzo, as well as Dreamcasper on the Widow. They've gone for the double sniper variety of cheese here as well.
This is great too. You see the Sonic Arrow going to the right side, knowing that there's no flanks. No one's going to be trying to jump on this card. They just have to kill what's in front of them, and that's what Bastion excels at.
Oh man, the pressure right now, it is obscene. They can't even kill them in the end. Prophet tries to make the play to slow him down, but it's not enough. So much pressure applied by the Bastion with the hail of bullets, and then the two snipers as well. Look at that, Nako. He doesn't even believe it. He's shaking his head. He's like, where are they?
Essentially, you have to wait for a Riptire to come up, but they're too impatient for it. Prophet will rotate off of that Junkrat onto a Genji. A Genji can be a decent counter to a Bastion as well, but they have to give up so much space that the Bastion setup on the offense is going to go up top already. And Dreamcasper is going to be on Widow duty, but more importantly, pushing that cart while the rest of his team continues to create space.
That was interesting. They were trying to pull a fast one here, Boston Uprising, trying to get that Bastion up on the high ground. And they're still going to keep at it as well, but the counterflank comes through. Striker with the scatter arrow doing some damage, but Jester and Prophet, they've annihilated the back line. If Notion is there to chime in as well. There's the turnaround. There is the difference for London Spitfire.
Very patient there. They had left Dreamcasper all alone on Widow on the point. Prophet saw his opening, won that 1v1. The rest of his team took that signal and pushed in through. Now the defense going to be able to stabilize here on second. So you will see wholesale changes from Boston, as once the pirate ship is broken down, it is hard to reclaim it yet again. So they're going to go to a standard dive composition on Boston.
Exactly right. Now it's going to be fights, the calls, the comms, and well, Boston have excelled so far in this series at this strategy, this variety of play. Prophet is hoping to get in their face, and he will get the dash on Nako, and nearly picks up Kelix as well, who does pop the wings fairly early here. No direct answer for him, however, unless Doshin hits a godlike volley. And so it will be the wings-on-wings fight as Nuss goes for the Valk as well.
They are simply lining up in the hallway. Prophet couldn't have Bops behave better than that if he was trying. His target practice, dash through, dash resets, keeps going. Brought back to life by some of these resurrections, not over yet. Prophet still holding onto this blade, and I think his team's going to get pushed back.
This is exactly it, the turning point, the sticking power here from Boston, the fact that they can actually hang in with the fight, making progress towards that second point, and London Spitfire left shaking their heads, wondering what happened. It felt like they had everything going their way. Now they have to make their way out through the choke points, a very difficult task, but they should be able to challenge just once more. Jester getting in position to go leaping onto the payload.
Well, you can also transcend into this point in Dragon Blade with your transcend. It's a little bit more difficult to stay in that transcend range, but immediately with Casper out of the fight, it might be time for them to start popping some ults, and they do end up getting most of this fight. This has been back and forth. One fight goes one way, the other, and now they're going to reclaim defense yet again.
It's super decisive right now. Either one team dominates or the other. And I mean, that was a fantastic fight for London Spitfire when you consider the fact that they still have the Transform Doshin. They have both of those offensive ults to work with as well. And Nuss, he's nearly got the wings.
London won that fight without really having to use much. They're nearing to have every single ultimate up for this next fight. Still plenty of time for Boston, though, as they try to set up their offense, but Prophet's going to force the issue.
Oh, Kelix, how do you survive? Just barely makes it out of there intact. That was a close call. Prophet decides to back off because the back cap was there. Dreamcasper, he's on the point the entire time.
That is so beautiful to reposition an entire team. One man back at the payload makes them all come back. And look at the space that has bought them.
Dreamcasper, that has definitely shifted up the defense. We're trading kills now. Things are about to get interesting. Nuss does decide to pop the wings, though. He will be able to bring Jester back into the fight. And Prophet, waiting patiently for the trance. He has waited long enough. It's time for the hack and the slash. And he at least gets one, now 2 kills. And he's still in the fight. Prophet making the difference.
A decisive fight yet again for the defense of the London Spitfire. However, on the swing back of things, Kelix is going to have his own Valkyrie to get in here. They're going to have their own Dragon Blade. Economy switching back over, and now Boston doing a little better with their own mint here. And they're going to have everything they want to take this next fight. In fact, if they don't, something has gone drastically wrong.
Especially because they still have time. Minute 30 left on this clock. They still have room to work with here. Dreamcasper, you know that he has that Dragon Blade. So we'll see. I mean, Prophet put on quite the demonstration for us a moment ago. He got some kills with it. And so Dreamcasper, we've come to expect that from this man. He is quite the capable Genji. And he's already spotted out the back line. That's exactly who he wants to go leaping onto. And we'll see if he decides to pull the blade out. Because for now, at least he looked like he wanted to just try and get it done the dirty way, but that's not going to work.
He got bullied out there. Kelix has popped his Valkyrie, but Casper's died in such an odd position that it's going to be difficult for him to get there. Kelix does find Dreamcasper, able to bring him back to life, as with Gamsu. Now might be the time for the blade. If not now, then when?
Exactly, got to pull the trigger, and there it is, sure enough. He's decided to use it. There's one, there's two, backline, and a tank. Under pressure as Badoshin gets picked up by Neko as well. Self-destruct a bit too far there, not quite going to have the impact that Fury was hoping for, and that will be a second point cap for Boston Uprising with 2 minutes in the bank to get that third.
We talk a great deal about Neko on Boston with good reason, but I want to know what kind of Faustian bargain Kelix has made to get out of these fights alive with 2 HP, to get to Casper, who died in a hallway of all places, and bring him back to life. Kelix's survivability has been off the charts.
It is unreal, really playing to the mobility of Mercy, one of her strong suits. And well, Dreamcasper will be there to get the kill. Dreamcasper with 2, and yet again, the game plan working for Boston Uprising, just collapsing on that back line. They need to remember that there is in fact a payload to push forward, though. They have to get somebody on there to make progress.
Well, it is going a little bit back and forth. There is some contention on the cart there. It's mostly Birdering trying to bring it back for his team. Sometimes you want to stagger the Baby Diva. That time they had enough of it. Don't want to let that mech suit get back in. They'll take a little bit of push here.
That was a ballsy Rasnus. That was out in the open. Can't believe he actually managed to pull that one off, and Fury is back into the fight, but we've got a Dragon Blade, and Prophet not really going to get too much out of it. Takes down Note, but that is it, and well, it's going to be up to Gesture now to just zap, to tase, and to do the damage.
Both of the Mercies fall in this fight. That means we're probably going to have to reset here. London defense holds. They've only got a minute left, and they've got a long way to push this payload. Generally, you want to have it around the last bend by the time this happens. They're going to have to win about 2 consecutive fights to be able to get this all the way to the end. They're going to take as much progress as possible. Nuss has Valkyrie. Kelix should be able to get there unless Birdering has something to say about it.
Whoa, okay, but it will get traded into a self-destruct immediately. Striker not quite going to be there in time as Birdring is there to rip his head off. And Doshin on the high ground, looking for the volleys with that Discord. Look at how much damage he does. Gamsu not going to make it out intact. Birdring there to capitalize. Great focus fire coming in here from London Spitfire, and for now the line holds. 10 seconds left.
Kelix did fall during that fight. He's going to have Valkyrie up for this next one. Has to pop it preemptively just so they can get in. A great door hold right now for London, making Boston earn every inch.
Yeah, really trying to buy the time as that wick now begins to burn for Boston Uprising, and the kills come raining through, but Kelix is there with the wings, and Dreamcasper there to chop Doshin in half.
Dreamcasper has been so hard in the back line. Every time he busts out blades, supports simply fall to the side of it. And they will continue to push, get it around this bend. Not over yet as Boston looks to finish out Junkertown.
They don't have a blade to worry about. Doshin is going to have trance very quickly here. They have the blade for Prophet. All eyes on Prophet at this point. The last time he whipped it out, we managed to get like 3 frags with it, 3 kills, and so now we have to see. Neko trying to keep alive in the background, though. He could cancel it out. And there it is, the trance comes into play, instantly countered. Prophet, hack and slash, gonna do nothing at all. Kelix is alive, even gets the bold res right in the middle of everything.
I have no idea how Kelix does it. Nako also comes alive, takes down Prophet with a swift orb to the dome. Self-destructs on this point here. Fury will take down his counterparts.
This is unreal. How are they still in this? The long, drawn-out fight. Both supports still in it, obviously, for London Spitfire. Those heals churning, and somehow they do not stay on the point in the end. Boston, they were not able to keep a presence, and that wick, the longer it burns, the quicker it burns as well. If you leave it for a split second at that point, that's it. It's over.
Even if you jump off the cart momentarily, or as a bar, if you jump a little too high, that cart will go down, but a pretty nice offensive push. Junkertown, a very difficult map to complete. It's a long, long escort map. So to be able to get it that far, not quite over yet for Boston to be able to close it out.
All right, we got the duel. That's cruel. You know that he's just hoping, the Dreamcast is just hoping that he will make the mistake and throwing some shurikens at him, but instead, this was the big play here from Prophet on that second point defense.
That's got to be satisfying when a Genji tries to kick you and you just cut his leg off. There's nothing worse than dying to the Zenyatta melee as a Genji when you're Dragon Blading.
Just give him the boot.
It's just humiliating.
Give him the boot. It is the best. That is why it is satisfying. I mean, it's also, I really wish that you could see more Zenyatas, you know, kind of in the back line there, you know, kicking their teammates forward as well. You know, just constantly melee if you're Zenyatta. You're always sending the right message. All right. Getting into it now. It will be the defense. It will be the swap. And so it is going to be a question now to see if the Boston Uprising have something special in store for us here on the first point defense. Looking to lock things out here for the Spitfire. But, I mean, you have to remember that Bishop, their coach for the Spitfire, that is one of the points. They've played this map recently. They're feeling more comfortable, and clearly they are. That was much better performance coming in from Spitfire on this last map, or on this fourth map in the series.
Absolutely. You're seeing a pretty standard meta develop here map-wise when it comes to Junkertown. So it looks like the offense wants to roll in. Well, never mind. Seems like they want to go pure dive. A lot of the top three teams have kind of shied away from going with the Bastion of their own, preferring to run a more standard composition. Early on, Birdring was on the Hanzo, but that's just to get vision with the Sonic Arrow. Is going to switch off of it, and they're getting a super aggressive, super quick.
Yeah, Birdring already pumping rounds into Gamsu. Eventually, he's going to be starting to take the damage, but then Dreamcasper is there to ruin his dreams. That is it. Done and dusted. The fight now, Prophet was hoping to pull a fast one on him, but he's going to get chased out. Some ult charge there for his teammates, so that's not the end of the world here. Nuss going to be happy about that. 40% on the Valk.
I have to fly to safety. The dive needs to pick which target it wants to go on, but he's so deep as Dreamcasper that he shuts down Prophet before he can even aggress onto him.
Oh, this is big. This is really where it starts to ramp up. Fury will eventually find the kill on Kelix. That is huge, but instead he is going to get chased down in the end. They don't care, Boston. The payload making progress, though. Doshin is there. He nearly gets picked. It looked like Dreamcasper was landing a shot on him. Dreamcasper having such a huge impact here on this first point defense, hitting shot after shot. That they finally been forced to give ground, and now it is going to be up to Boston Uprising to try and make their way out through the choke points. Not an easy task.
Dreamcasper is pressured out a little bit up top, but Gesture will give his life for it because Junkrat is there, makes short work of that. Winston Prophet exact sweet revenge by taking out Dreamcasper, an even fight thus far.
Finally, but Striker's still alive here on the point itself. Gamsu punches Birdring into oblivion, and there's the whole hog, forcing Fury back. This is fantastic work coming out here from Boston. Despite the fact that they've lost Dream, it doesn't mean that they are any less lethal. Nako showing his chops as well. Gets the mine on Prophet. And things are looking fantastic here for Boston on the first point defense. I mean, 2-1 right now in maps. 2-0, but they are on the brink right now, Boston, of the big upset win.
London on paper, which is a dangerous term sometimes in sports and in Overwatch itself, should win this fight. They've got all the ultimates banked up. They got both support ultimates. They've got Valkyrie. They've got Blade. They need a hero play out of Boston if they want to continue to hold, but this has already been a very good first point defense on Junkertown.
Clever work. Prophet trying to bait the shot out of Dream. He will get shot in the face eventually, though, and he is dying. Prophet burning out, poisoned to death. And so Prophet will have no say, not for now at least. A bit too far away from Nuss as well, who has popped the wings, but will not be able to get the res. And still, however, the kills just keep coming through here for London.
They should have enough here, but now D-Mech happens. They're able to take down Neko there. Just trying to buy a little bit of time. These tanks on the card are not going to be able to do it. Offense eventually with the reinforcements will take first point. But I have to reiterate, that is a very good defensive hold. You just want to run time off the clock. If you're Boston, all Boston has to do to win this set is stop them before they get to the white marker, which is about 5 meters away from the endpoint of Junkertown.
And you're right, you've already said this, Hex, but this is a very long map. It takes a long time to push the payload to the final third point. There's only 3 minutes roughly left on this clock here for London Spitfire to make that happen. Prophet has got the Dragon Blade though. Oh, baiting on the shot. He knows that Dreamcasper can see through walls right now. Tries to take advantage of it. And Neko instead, what is this? 2 big kills coming in for Boston immediately.
Absolutely huge there to take them out of the fight. That means that they have to just sit back. Prophet trying to whittle away there, ends up getting a steel trap, which is nice for him. The only thing they've got to work with is a blade, but they are setting up for their own Valkyrie. If Kelix can continue to pull the miracle survivability he's had, he'll just be able to bring everyone back to life. Prophet may get kills, but it won't matter unless he gets more than 2.
Kelix just refuses to die. That is the long and short of it, but there we go. The Dragon Blade and Dreamcasper is laid low. Kelix, first man to go by Ocean. Orbs to the face, Prophet under fire, but he's not too concerned about that. He will get healed up by his teammates, and it's looking like London Spitfire, at least in this first engagement, are able to turn it swiftly their way. Everything getting put to good use.
A nice little return to sender there from Prophet all the way back to the Junkrat makes him absolutely worthless in that fight. They did have to burn their Valkyrie though. Kelix died early to Bedosian, who they're gonna need to step up. He was a little bit quiet the last couple of maps. There was the Bedosian we saw on the early side of things. So Kelix dying early means that they can come out and fight this if they want. They still have Valk to do so.
It's Birdring who's really come to life in this match so far. 41-18 final blows, and already, I mean, look at this. We're gonna get a bit of a shot from him now because he's got the pulse bomb ready to go. Will very easily dodge the self-destruct, and now that's gonna set him up here. Decides to commit to it. Gamsu right on the edge. He's thinking about it, but there's a D-Mech to be had as well, and Birdring being very patient with his ultimate, not willing to commit.
Kelix has brought people back to life, but now Fury puts Dreamcasper back down to sleep for the final time, during which they will take this point. The clock will be extended by a short period of time, 2:45, to get to the box on the ground and send us to a map number 5.
That is really interesting that Birdring decides to hold on to his pulse bomb for that long, considering how quickly Tracers charge their ultimate. For him to go through an entire fight and not use it, he would have had a fresh one by now, maybe.
You miss all the pulse bombs you do not take. And most Tracers just throw it out there, but trying to extract value out of it extracts the life out of Dreamcasper.
This could be big, though. He could actually drop down. Kelix caught out in the open. Bit of a dicey spot for him. And Birdring, oh, going for the quick play! Stylen! Kelix is gone. Definitely did not see that coming, and neither did we. What a play from Birdring.
900 IQ play. Do you remember me, guys? I was just here. Hold on. Here is a parting gift. A beautiful play by Birdring to lull them into the false sense of security. Hey, I'm back, and you're dead.
What a joy to watch. That's stylish. That is sick. Birdring, and now you've got Prophet as well. He's nearly got the Dragon Blade. Well, he has the Dragon Blade, and so we'll see if he's going to be able to get some style points here himself. He's spotted out Gamsu, who is in the back line, who does have primal range. And so a minute 30, and here we go. Already just dashing onto Kelix, and the first kill once again. Hex, you monster! You cursed Kelix. He just keeps dying over and over.
That's just how it works. I apologize, Kelix. Prophet does not finish that out, but they have the resurrection advantage. Kelix needs to get back in this fight, charge up his Valkyrie if they have any chance of holding. The stall out comes in form of a self-destruct, and it gets 2! Notes takes down Nuss, and Prophet keeps his team alive and in this map.
Oh, this is going to be a big deal. That is a long run back from spawn for London Spitfire. They need to try and stay in this as long as possible, and Boston taking the time, being patient with it, rallying. They've got the wings out now as well, Kelix. You need to stay alive, but again, Bedosian with a big kill, and then uses the chance as well to keep his teammates in this fight. And London Spitfire, they have a real chance of tying things up 2-2.
getting in here, and even though the defender's advantage should come in quick, all these kills coming in huge. Gesture will go down, but not enough. Who runs Junkertown? Spitfire runs Junkertown.
Deep breath. But what a joy, this series to start the day. We're tied up 2-2 in maps. We're going the distance. It will be a control map to break the tie. The team that wins the most maps out of this series get the W, but it will be Lijiang Tower to close things out. What a fantastic game, Hex. This is it.
Couldn't ask for any more in version 2 of the Revolutionary War.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel and Omen by HP.
Pick your poison, essentially. There's a lot of threats here for the Spitfire to use. This is astonishing from the Boston Uprising. They put this defense together so comfortably. Good dive in from Boston to find that first target.
That's a big, resounding fight win for London.
Who's got the hard hand? That was a masterclass from the Spitfire. Huge turnaround. Boston making a real game.
All right, welcome back, everybody, from the break, and we are live with the last map, exactly. Lijiang Tower. It's going to be the one to settle it between the Boston Uprising and the London Spitfire. It has been a real barn burner here, Hex.
It's everything we could have asked for. This is amazing. I'm so glad we're going to a map 5. It seems very fitting that two teams who have not had the best record on control maps have to settle it on control. And personally, Lijiang Tower is my favorite map in the entire pool because it's a Tracer map, and Tracer should be running wild on this map. However, both teams could bust out a Pharah as well.
Yeah, there is the option to go for the Rockets, but you're right. I love watching Tracer play as well. There's so many opportunities to express your own personal style with Tracer. You know, do you attack the back line? Do you go for the back cap soon? Are you just this wraith floating in, killing supports left and right? Or are you there to mind your team and make sure that you're a defensive Tracer? So many options, so much fun, and this is going to be it. We're going to be getting into the map in just a moment's time, and we'll get our answers, right? Is it going to be a Pharah? Is it going to be a Tracer? What are we going to see?
You could run a lot of different stuff on here. Boston, in one of their Oasis maps, ran this really cool, like 3-tank and a Moira in it, and I'm always looking forward to say the words Moira meta. We'll get there someday. I've been playing a lot of Moira. Pro tip, free-for-all, play Moira. It's unfair, and it's not fun to play against, but free-for-all, you will win with the Moira. Life drain. I want to see more Moira. I don't think we're going to see it here. This is very likely a Pharah map overall. Again, anything with a giant vertical tower is going to lend itself to good Pharah play. Able to boop off there, hide behind it, etc. You've seen other teams even run triple DPS, so Lijiang, it's all open. If and when we get to Control Center, that is the outlier in this particular control map. You see Zaryas, you see Reinhardt's, very much a slugfest there. Maybe we'll see a bit of Moira then.
So many options available, and we're seeing more and more Moira too. This is what's real fun. Bit of variety in the back line. Kelix, just make my day. Make my day. Go for the Doom Fist. Lock him in. It's not going to happen, sadly. I wish.
Single Lucio Doom Fist.
Hope springs eternal, Hex. Hope springs eternal.
Boston has run some interesting stuff here. I don't know, that would be interesting. We'll see. You learn eventually.
Don't toy with my feelings.
To not look at these rosters until it's like out of the gate. They actually have to leave spawn. The enemy gates have to open before you can really say anything about them, because all too often I've been duped into getting hyped over Symmetra only to have my heart broken.
Exactly, and you know, right? You know that this is what is eventually going to happen. Kelix swaps over to the Mercy. We've got Striker on the Tracer. But, you know, Striker with Tracer, always a good time. Always the big plays. Well, Boston, they're going to be counting on him now to continue to deliver. Dream Casper on the Pharah. Great reposition there with the concussive, and he is going to be able to open up for Striker to pick up a kill, and he'll get one of his own.
Being super aggressive here, and that's a great way to counter what the Spitfire are doing. They're running Bird Ring on the Widow to try to deal with Dream Casper in the sky. So far to no avail, as that is a very dominant first fight for the Boston Uprising.
Super solid start, and they will get the cap. Striker with the D-Mech, and that's perfectly fine. They'll take, well, actually, no, they'll go ahead and assassinate Fury fairly quickly. They're not going to just stagger him too long.
Birdring has switched off of the Widow onto a McCree. The reason being it's less reliable versus the combo in the sky, but it's more reliable towards the Tracer on the ground. You're able to counter both with one hero, but he needs a lot of help in the world. McCree can be overwhelmed very easily. One of the best duelists in the games, but if you give him pressure, he's in trouble.
Or you can just try and send him off the side of the cliff. That works too. Striker again. This deadly duo between Dream Casper and Striker. They keep working together to pick up kill after kill. So Prophet, well, actually, he's going to try and turn it around. Oh, well then, Striker, enough of that. Prophet, sit down.
They bring Birdring back to life, knowing that this might be their window to get in here. They do end up with a couple of full kills on that side. Nas taken down by the barrage, and Notes keeps his Pharah in the Matrix so that she lives through the barrage.
And this is just unending battle, exactly what we expect to see on Control. Everybody running right back into the fight. And this time it's Jester staying alive on the point for an obscenely long time, buying so much time for his healers to get in, and more importantly, for him to generate an ultimate. Primal Rage is now there, and he's going to be batting him around like hacky sacks.
Prophet trying to put the team on his back as he takes down Lucio. Both supports now out of this fight. London Spitfire will wrestle Control away from the Boston Uprising. Boston has notched nearly 70% on their first Control, though. Prophet is the one who finds Dream Casper in the back lines. Tracer can put some pressure onto the Pharah, especially if she's alone. Really, that's up to Birdring. Birdring should have better positioning here now, because now his team's in control. It's going to be much more difficult for Pharah to take control back, which is why Dream Casper simply shelves the Rocket Queen. It's going to come out on Genji instead.
Not the biggest change, at least as far as Dream Casper is concerned. He can rule supreme on both of them. He can do the damage. Birdring, great focus fire on him. However, trying to lay the McCree low as quickly as possible. He's fanning the hammer, just trying to stay alive. And he's got his teammates there to help him out. The Transcendence as well, doing a pretty good job of it. Gamsu not able to get anything apart from a bullet to the face. and London Spitfire repel the attack.
All off of the edge there, and Spitfire in a great position to take the lead going forward because they have an enormous Valkyrie advantage. Nuss still holding on to his. Calyx a bit away. Perhaps Striker can bring this back for his team. Note is going to have self-destruct. Not the best map for self-destructs overall. A lot of places to hide.
And Prophet, yeah, you can see him. This is just like watching Dreamcast. For any of these flankers, it's always so fun when they've got their ultimate ready to go. You're just waiting for them to see the opening, to dive forward and to do the damage, and he's perfectly happy right now to take the duel, and now he's found the target that he was really hoping for. Nako out in the open. Will get healed up by Calyx, but that is going to put Calyx in a bad position, and eventually Calyx gets caught with the butt of a gun. Nako not going to be long for this world either.
Prophet comes back to finish what he started there. As soon as Nako doesn't have the Mercy healing him up, he is easy pickings for a Tracer in the back line. Now, 90%. Nuss did use his Valkyrie last fight. Calyx about to get there, misses the stick though, but it doesn't matter. Doshin finishes the last bit of damage they need onto Calyx.
And note, he was able to draw them back, but he will not live long. Striker will get found by Birdring, and there it is. We will have the Discord going out onto the big angry monkey, no problem there. He is going to try to buy the time, Gamsu, but he needs to get on the point, needs to have some kind of impact here as Ocean gets, well, there you go. That'll do it. 2 kills for Gamsu, and that can turn the tide here for Boston.
Doshin shown off the edge into the carp pool. Calyx will fall in turn. Boston will eventually flip it back. Great plays by Gesture, knocking people around like a gorilla from the lost city of Zinj.
That was perfect. And not only the reference. Calyx, all eyes on him now. The ult game is somewhat favoring London Spitfire. Note will have that self-destruct, but really it's the Valks that matter, and Nuss does not have his quite yet, so there is an opportunity. Calyx wastes no time at all to bust out the wings and hope to turn the tide for his team, but it's not going to happen. He will get the res on Gamsu, but his teammates are dropping left and right around him.
They're only able to use the res to bring it back to even, not to wrestle an advantage in this fight. Now with Doshin out from Gamsu, and Dreamcasper finds the shape of water down below. Nuss falls in this fight as well, though.
This is all over the place, Hex. This is back and forth. It does look like, for now, who is actually going to be able to get this done? They're both at 99%, and Striker pulls ahead. Takes down his counterpart, takes down his opponent. Gesture trying to stay alive as best he can, just long enough to get the Primal Rage going, and now he'll be able to buy a whole bunch of time. Nako, careful, doesn't want to get batted off the edge of the cliff, and he just goes for the trance to stay alive.
And forces it out. He knew that he had support on the point. Gesture did, so he didn't have to go back there and pull it off. However, all of London falling in this fight. Boston takes stage 1 of our map 5 tiebreaker.
This could be it. They are on the brink right now. Boston, everything within their grasp. We go into the second point. It's tied up 2-2 in maps, and they've got the 1-point advantage here. If they can pick up this second one, this could be it. London Spitfire currently 5-0. They haven't lost once in this league. This would be their first loss. Well, Boston now, well, let's see. It's looking like Dreamcasper wants to start Pharaoh again. But that's not a huge shocker here.
It's a good map for Farah if you can get over the edge and then shooting through the doorways. And even inside, there's a lot of vertical room actually on the point, so you can stay in that skybox and not really be bothered.
My ultimate is charging.
And they go with the boost. There is a bit of a change. The difference, we got the Lucio in play now. So let's see if it actually pays off. Nako showing us the skills with the wall riding. Such a tough target to hit.
Well, they want to get Casper out. That's why they rotate to the point first, is because Casper wants to not be over here. Up over the top, though, Casper raining down. His tank's picking up the slack for him, and he will get pressured a little bit, but it will not matter. Casper, so confident, he simply eliminates himself.
He's fine. He's like, actually, hold on. Let me go ahead and help you out here real quick, you know, just to give you a little bit of hope to make it more satisfying when I crush it later. Because his team, they've are fully under control. He even gets rezzed up, insult to injury at the end. And so Dreamcasper back in action. And the point starts ticking in Boston's favor. Now is going to be the question of whether they can withstand this next attack coming in from the Spitfire.
It's so difficult to find the right angle onto the Farah Mercy in this situation if they're set up properly. Birdring's going to find that Boston needs to just chill on the point here. Make London be the ones who aggress. That's not Boston's style, though. Striker about to have Pulse Bomb up. He's got supports in his sights.
Oh, and he's right on top of him. There we go. Slams Notion up against the wall, and he's still got the pulse as well. Could try and take that fight to some of the bigger targets here. Just hunting on Nuss. He really wants to pick up that kill on the Valk, but the Valk is already out, and it's not going to be meant for anything apart from a few reses here for London Spitfire. Nuss doing the best he can to keep his teammates alive, and there's the sound barrier coming out from Nako already.
Striker just got completely zoned out there. He was unable to take down the D-Mech D.Va as well. Meanwhile, Boston is still in control at this point. They will trade all day and be happy about it.
They just keep generating. They keep getting that percentage. You guys can see it keeps ticking away. And they'll be plenty happy with that so long as Striker can stay alive to tap the point every time he needs to just keep delaying things further to extend that lead. And well, yes, London Spitfire, they're alive, but well, finally, they're able to hunt down Striker.
Bird Ring finally able to take it down, as you mentioned. Now the McCree is going to be in a better position. They know this. This has been such a great change every time from Boston. They come running out with the Pharah, and then when they lose control of the point, it's so hard to take it back as a Pharah. So Dreamcasper says, you know what? I have about 25 heroes in my pool. I'll just go play Genji instead. No problem.
One of the more versatile players that we have in this league. He has certainly shown that he is no slack. A natural talent. This is fighting out in the open. Bird Ring hunting for targets. Eventually connects with 2 shots. Will get back to his supports. They need to keep him alive, and they will. And he has the Deadeye now as well to continue buying time. Needs to worry about that self-destruct that is going to go in the corner, and he just barely makes it. Never mind! Dreamcasper's there to get the kill.
Forced off of the point and forced into a Samurai Sword. A beautiful coordinated play. The self-destruct not always going to find Pater, but it will find you positioning. Boston takes it back. They are about 1 fight away, and they've got both support ults to lock this down.
You can see the frustration coming in here from London. Bird Ring even going for the Bastion there for a second, not quite sure what to go. What is necessary? That would have been some very spicy cheese indeed. But with both support ults up now, it's really Boston. They have all of the cards in their hand. They are ready to take the fight to him. Notion is already dropped. The point about to take over. There's Nuss with the Valkyrie, with the reses, keeping his teammates alive, keeping their hopes alive.
All reses out for both Valkyries. Next deaths will be permanent and will be absolutely crucial. Fury down. Nako now out of this fight. There goes the opposing Zenyatta. There's another resurrection from Nose. Actually, he just uses Valkyrie. Excuse me, I thought he used it.
Oh, he's chopping them left and right. Dreamcasper doing tremendous damage, forcing them back, and he's already onto his target now. Nuss needs to stay alive, needs to keep his teammates alive as well, more importantly, but Dreamcasper is not interested in that whatsoever, and the wick is burning. Boston Uprising, they've done it! 3-2 victory over the Spitfire. They've knocked them out of the sky, and they've ended the streak.
Boston is uprising. Let's start the revolution. Able to separate themselves from that middle of the pack with a statement victory over the previously undefeated London Spitfire.
I mean, if anybody, yes, you are going to be slightly stunned if you're the Spitfire right now. This is not how it was supposed to go. You were supposed to be the one standing triumphant. Instead, you are the first, well, you are the first roster right now, at least, to be 5-0 and give up a loss.
Great parity in this league. Any given Overwatch League day, one team can come out ahead. And Boston, lauded before the league even began, is the first team to take down one of the top 3.
All right, now everybody, we will go ahead and hand it over to Puckett and the desk to hear what they have to say about this fantastic first match of the day.
Thank you so much, fellas. Week 3 is getting insane. Last night we had a Game 5. Today we start with a Game 5, and it's Boston Uprising walking away with the victory. We got Brendan Reinforce back at the desk to break down all of the action, and we got to go all the way back to Ilios, because this is Game 3 coming into halftime. It was tied up 1 apiece, but we highlighted in the pre-show, if you're looking at the London Spitfire and a potential weakness, it's control points.
Yeah, in general, across the board, London have never really looked too strong on control. They're a good team in general, but the sort of play style that control demands, London has never been their strongest suit. In fact, multiple times they were sort of testing going into these team fights, looking a little bit shaky. Boston, however, looking much more prepared overall.
Yeah, well, they don't take the initiative that we usually see these top 3 teams do. They like to play so fast, but London Spitfire in this matchup, I'd say, way more passive and try to make room for Hureg in this case on the hit scan. Play the McCree to shut down Dreamcast's potential to play Pharah. We saw both teams playing the McCree, for example, on Lighthouse, which was a big surprise, even to Assembler and Hexagrams on the cast, of course. So this London Spitfire teams, it looks like they're not that diverse and they can't really adapt to all these kind of different playstyles that much. They just look like they're out of their comfort zone, really. I don't really know how to put it.
Yeah, a big part of that, in my opinion, is the fact that they took so long to sub in Profit. They looked a bit shaky in the beginning with Hureg in. A little bit unpracticed, maybe, is the word I'd use. Definitely when they subbed in Profit, they looked a lot better, as we could tell from Junkertown. We'll get to that a bit later. But in general, yeah, Boston looking like they came in prepared and ready for a game, to be honest.
Everyone has different play styles, and we've seen this play out throughout this series. London looking a little shaky in game number 3. Game 4 comes up, though, and it's Junkertown. They did not go down without a fight. Let's take a look at some of the action here. Profit back in the action on the Genji, had some massive Dragon Blades.
I mean, they kickstarted the action with Birding and Profit, right? They just made plays all over the place. But at the same time, I want to highlight on the first point of Junkertown on attack. We saw London Spitfire go for the dive with Birding and Profit, and usually we see both teams go for the Orisa, you know, with the Junkrat, the Road Dog, the Widowmakers. But then again, London Spitfire, they were running dive there as well. So it just adds to the point of them not being able to adapt as sufficiently, and they basically live off Birdring's and Profit's ability to get all of these kills.
Well, the DPS did some serious damage there. You saw Birdring with that nasty stick on Kellex, and that's what kind of opened the door for the final push from the London Spitfire. So now we're sitting at 2 apiece. We're going to a game 5. It's control, and if you're London Spitfire, you have to go through the lineups and think, what is our best possible chance? Well, they brought in a squad we were kind of expecting to see, but again, it's similar results. We thought it was going to be London Spitfire walking away with an early lead, but Boston never goes down in these controls. You're highlighting Striker went off in this game 5.
Yeah, in general, not even just in game 5, across the whole board of this entire match, he had a ridiculous game. Here's Gamsu as well with the double support kill. This was imperative in them winning this map out. He had such massive plays as well, but if we're talking about Striker, overall, here's the danger with Boston, right? If you try and focus down Dreamcatcher as a player, you will get shut down by Striker. Both of these DPS players are like this double threat, basically. You can't just shut down one because Striker's going to have so much more room to just absolutely wreak havoc across the entire battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, Fury was busy using the defense matrix onto Hureg, of course, because they're scared of Boston diving onto the DPS. But then Striker, he can just roam around with the Tracer and do so much damage. We always talk about Tracer being able to pick off heroes, but the overall damage per second coming out of Tracer is just immense. So you need to shut down Striker as well.
This is one of the best matches we have seen in the Overwatch League regular season, an instant classic, and you're going to want to check out all of the VODs. But before we leave this match, we have to highlight our player of the match. And this player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. It's not Dreamcasper, who Prophet said is the best Western DPS. It's their main take. Gamsu was on point from start to finish here on Winston.
I mean, I want to highlight this player because I think he was one of the weak points versus San Francisco Shock. He was playing way too passive, not really decisive in his engagements overall. And usually in this meta, you see the main tanks dictating the shot calling, calling for Dreamcasper in this case, who do you want to dive on? But Gamsu in this game, I mean, he just stepped it up. They were so aggressive and shut down everyone in London Spitfire.
This kind of counter-dive style that they've been developing throughout this entire match has been so impressive, and Boston as a team just keep impressing me more and more and more. They're just coming out with all of these players improving at such a drastic level above a lot of the other teams here. Nobody was expecting Boston to be doing this well at the start of the season, but now here we are talking about them taking a win over London Spitfires, the potential best team in the league.
Johnny, as we take a look at the numbers here, I see 43 jump pack kills. What jumps out to you?
I'm gonna say the Primal Rage kills, because he popped off with that Primal Rage, especially on Li Jiang. He got 2 crucial picks with the Primal Rage, knocking players out of the map. So I was really impressed by Gamsu's individual skill to make those plays. I mean, overall, when we look at the game, that was the big game changer, in my opinion. Boston Uprising's ability to make this individual plays, Dream Casper, Gamsu, Striker, everyone really popped off in this game and had a say.
All right, Gamsu is your Omen by HP player of the match. Congratulations as Boston Uprising pulls off a major upset. Everyone was doubting the squad back at the preseason. Look what they accomplished today. And this is still just stage number 1. But guys, that is just the first match of the day. We have plenty more action on the other side of this break. You don't want to miss it. It's right down there. Check it out. We'll see you in a minute.
Chase it that. Monkey, bunny. Winter one. Break bubble. Winter. One mercy. Mercy that, nice. Get. Monkey dead, nice, Genji. No!